The story begins with someone firing several shots, and one of those shots hits a very important guy who can't believe he was shot. Some of the guards, seeing their boss collapse to the ground, run over to him and shout, telling him to hold on. Meanwhile, the other guards fire back at the person who fired the shots, who in turn is hit by several bullets, and as he falls to the ground, he thinks that the only thing truly fair in the world is that everyone only has one life. He also bets that Cao Shu never imagined he would end up like this, since, after an entire life surrounded by luxury and power, being eliminated by the hands of some random guy is something unbelievable. Not to mention all the fortune Cao Shu had, capable of rivaling even an entire country, but now, it can't even buy one more second of his life. The MC thinks of his mother and father, and reflects that he has finally avenged them. But he questions why fate had to be so cruel and why he had to lose everything. And, before losing consciousness, he thinks that he absolutely cannot accept this, until his eyes close completely, and the MC keeps thinking that he cannot die like this. However, a few seconds later, he starts slowly opening his eyes, until he opens them all at once. And, when he realizes that he is in a room, he gets up in shock, wanting to know if he hadn't been eliminated by Cao Shu's bodyguards. But as soon as he looks around more carefully, he realizes that it is his old room from his student days. Then, he wonders if, somehow, he managed to go back in time. At that moment, an advertisement is playing on the television about the game Conviction, the immersive holographic VRMRPG with open beta. The MC is intrigued when he sees that the game servers opened exactly at this moment. Because of that, he thinks he really went back in time. This is Nia Yan, and the people in the photo he is looking at are his parents. At that time, they were at the border negotiating thorium, a vital strategic resource, and the government paid hundreds of times the market price, and the MC's family made a fortune. After that, the MC's father opened a metal smelting company, and they became rich far too quickly. However, luck does not last forever, since when Nia Yan was 25 years old, his father's business was crushed by Cao Shu's Century Financial Group. Relatives and friends whom the MC's father trusted were bought off and betrayed him. The company went bankrupt, and Nia Yan's father took poison. His mother, exhausted and broken inside, passed away shortly after. The MC grew up surrounded by privileges, and that made him somewhat lazy and useless. In the end, with no way out, he chose an extreme path just to drag Cao Shu down with him. But right now, Nia Yan thinks that heaven has given him another chance, and because of that, he knows that this time, he will not lose anything. Conviction, on the other hand, is a holographic game that will change the world and mark an era, because in the future, countless financial groups will migrate into the game, and the Century Financial Group will begin its rise from within Conviction. With that, the game will become humanity's second world. In the MC's past life, he was a shadow thief at level 180 or above. Then, as he picks up his phone, he realizes that it is July 25th, 2025, and Conviction has only been online for 7 days. So, he thinks there is still time, since he knows that the highest ranked player at the moment should be, at most, level 5. But, with his memories, catching up to them is the bare minimum. Besides, this is his chance to turn the game around. So, he thinks that, if he is not mistaken, he still has some savings put away, and that he can at least buy the most basic gaming helmet. Then, as he puts on his clothes, he thinks about Cao Shu, and how he can't wait to take revenge on someone who destroyed his family. A few hours later, the MC has already bought his gaming helmet and reflects that, with what he knows about the future, he will crush every player and rise to the absolute top of Conviction. And, not wanting to waste any more time, he puts on the helmet, and then enters the game. The system asks the MC to select a nation, since Conviction is divided into 3 factions. These are the Justice faction, which is lawful and good, and is made up of the Viridian Empire and the Satan Empire. The Viridian Empire is a human kingdom governed by a council of elders. Meanwhile, the Satan Empire is a tribal alliance of dwarves, orcs, and elves. The evil faction is lawful and evil, made up of demonic and undead tribes ruled by dictatorial leaders. And anyone who prefers to stay out of this conflict can choose the giant tribes of the neutral faction. Nia Yan knows that, in his past life, he chose Shadow Thief in the Viridian Empire, and after years of playing, he knows every skill and every quest of that class. So, he thinks that repeating the Shadow Thief class is the only way to get the most out of this second chance. Therefore, the MC selects the Shadow Thief class. After that, he chooses to be born in the Viridian Empire, and finally, the name of his character, Flame of Nirvana. After the system informs him that the MC's name has been successfully approved, it informs him that his character has been created and that he will be redirected into the game. Ni-Yan is taken to the city of Kalori in the Viridian Empire, and he soon feels the sensation of being inside the game once again. He also sees that he has 3 points in the strength attribute, 2 in agility, 5 in defense, 4 in intelligence, and 80 HP. The MC knows that in his past life, he distributed them incorrectly and wasted far too much time leveling up because of it. But this time, he will not repeat that stupid mistake. At that moment, the system informs him that Kalori's teleportation point can send people to several cities, towns, and villages. Ni-Yan hears an arcane mage selling a high-quality common dagger, which has 2 attack points and is 1 point higher than the starting dagger, costing only 2 copper coins. The MC reflects that common daggers cost only 1 copper in Lake Village, and that all he needs to do is use the free teleport and go there to buy one. But in his past life, he was stupid enough to buy it there, and only afterward realized that he had been tricked. Then, he hears a silent paladin offering a stealth skill book, costing 6 copper coins. Ni-Yan becomes a little curious about it, so he goes up to the seller and asks if the book really costs 6 copper coins. The paladin says yes, and asks if the MC wants to take one. Ni-Yan thinks that stealth is the most important basic skill for a thief at the beginning, and that, without it, he knows he will lose his advantage. But according to his memory, there is a hidden chest in the Wildcat area of Telak Village. The skill inside will drastically speed up his leveling. However, it is a level 5 zone. Most players are still level 2 or 3 and do not go there yet. Therefore, the MC asks the seller for the book for free, but he explains that, in exchange, he will tell him a secret that will let him farm more than a dozen of these books in a single day. The paladin looks at the MC's level and asks if he thinks he is an idiot. Ni-Yan asks the seller to calm down and not dismiss the offer so quickly, because, if he is not mistaken, the paladin farmed the books he is selling from the fallen shamans in Link Village. The seller is very surprised, wanting to know how the MC knows that. He then precisely states the coordinates of the location. This leaves the seller even more surprised, thinking that the boy even knows the coordinates. But he wonders if he is telling the truth about being able to get a dozen books per day, until he decides to make the trade. Then, he hands over the skill book. The system informs the MC that a player named Flying Stone has traded an item with him. Ni-Yan asks the seller to pay attention, and then tells him that he needs to go to those coordinates and farm the fallen shamans, and that the location is near their camp, and he can even get more than a dozen stealth books per day there. The seller gets excited when he hears this, and says he will go there immediately to test it. The MC wishes him good luck, but emphasizes that the fallen shamans also drop the night vision skill, and if he gets an extra one, he should send him a message. The paladin wastes no time and runs to the teleportation point, saying that the MC can relax, because if what he said is true, he will send what he asked for right away. Then, Ni-Yan enters the teleportation point as well, and while he is being teleported, he thinks that now that he has the stealth skill book, it is time to go after that chest. As soon as he arrives at Telak Village, he learns the stealth skill, which causes the MC to enter a hidden state, making detection more difficult. But higher level enemies have a greater chance of noticing him. Therefore, Ni-Yan activates the skill he just learned and rushes out at full speed. He quickly leaves the village and advances into the middle of a forest until he reaches the Wildcat area, where there are several creatures between level 2 and level 4. The chest the MC is looking for is at the top of a tree, which is surrounded by several level 5 wildcats. While he is hidden, Ni-Yan knows that in Conviction, chests are classified as white, silver, gold, dark gold, and legendary, and the higher the grade, the better the loot. The contents of the chests are fixed, and the chest disappears after being opened. The MC notices where the chest he is looking for is and sees that it is silver grade, but it is hidden among the wildcats, exactly as he remembered. And, while activating his stealth skill, he knows that even though it is a level 5 zone and he is still level 0, even if he is eliminated there, he will not lose experience or equipment. Therefore, he runs forward, passes by some creatures, and, when he is close to reaching the silver chest, he thinks that his stealth only lasts 2 minutes. And opening the chest takes time, so he needs to be quick. However, one of the creatures notices the MC's movement, and he soon needs to dodge to avoid being hit, since he knows that he cannot get too close to the wildcats because they will detect him that way. Then, he leaps upward and reaches the tree branch where the chest is. While the system informs him that the chest is being opened, Yan thinks that he needs to stay calm and take a deep breath, since stealth could break at any moment. Meanwhile, the creatures under the tree keep walking back and forth, waiting for some intruder to invade, until the chest is open, and the time spent opening it was 27 seconds. As soon as the MC picks up the dropped item, he thinks that it is his path to perfect power leveling. The item in question is the Vital Strike skill book, which causes additional damage when hitting an enemy's weak point. The attributes are 150% damage when hitting a vital point. The cooldown time is 30 seconds. The requirements are for Thief, Warrior, and Paladin. Yan is pleased to see that it is Vital Strike, a high-level thief skill that can even be learned at level 0. Because of that, he knows the difficulty of leveling up at the beginning will be cut in half. So, without thinking twice, the MC learns the skill. However, the effect of stealth ends, and the wildcats soon notice his presence. Yan jumps down from the tree and thanks the creatures for guarding his chest. And while being attacked and slashed from several angles, he thinks that, in conviction, being eliminated means losing experience and equipment. But since he is only at level 0 and using starting items, he has nothing to lose. Thus, the system informs him that the MC has been eliminated and that, because of this, he dropped the novice bracelet. Now, he will be teleported to the nearest city in a matter of seconds. Yan returns and thinks it was just a free trip and that it never fails. But he knows that now, it is time for the second stage of his plan. So, he runs at high speed through the village, and as he approaches a certain place, he thinks that the next step requires 20 copper coins. But since every new account starts with only 10 coppers, he needs to raise money first. And, if his memory is not wrong, there is a hidden quest there. Yan goes to Hunter Klaus and accepts the mission to collect 20 skulls from gray-silver giant rats. Then, he goes to Farmer Ende and accepts the mission to eliminate 50 gray-silver giant rats. After that, he goes to Alchemist Orr, who says he heard from Klaus and Ende that a young man accepted their tasks. Then, he says he also needs some ingredients for his potions, and, because of that, wants to know if the MC could help him collect them. At that moment, the system informs him that the hidden quest has been activated, and Yan reflects that Alchemist Orr's mission is only activated after accepting the 2 missions he accepted earlier. It is a detail almost no one knows, but luckily, he knows it very well. Thus, Yan tells the alchemist that he accepts helping him. With that, the hidden quest is accepted, and the MC will need to collect 21 gray-silver giant rat tails. After going to do the missions, Yan soon finds a level 1 giant rat. He wastes no time, jumps into the air, and comes down delivering his fatal strike on the creature. With that, the giant rat is eliminated and drops a skull and a tail. After eliminating another gray-silver giant rat, the MC notices that this time, the creature dropped an item. It is the sturdy leather leggings. Common quality, grants 4 defense points, and belongs to the warrior class. Yan picks up the item and thinks it could earn at least 7 coppers at the auction house. Until, when he looks to the side, he notices several giant rats charging straight at him. Without much trouble, the MC unleashes his vital strike and eliminates several creatures at once. 1 hour later, he returns to the place where he got the first mission, and as soon as he hands over what he collected, he completes the missions from Hunter Klaus, Farmer Ende, and Alchemist Orr. His rewards are 34 copper coins and 3 basic instant health potions. Yan reflects that the rewards from the hidden quest are much better than he remembered, since he got several things very useful for the beginning of the game. Then, the MC lists the sturdy leather leggings at the auction house. After that, he goes to a weapon shop, and as soon as he enters the place, the seller welcomes him and says that the weapons sold there are the best in all the Western Grasslands. Yan says he needs a crossbow, and that the requirement is level 0, attack with +3 or more in the attribute, fire rate above 12, and price below 40 coppers. The seller quickly brings one over and says he has a perfect piece, a small, powerful shot crossbow, in which the equipment has a triple shot effect, granting +5 attack points. The base fire rate is 8, but with triple shot, it rises to 15. It has a range of 30 yards and costs exactly 35 coppers. The MC places the copper coins on the table, says he will take the crossbow and asks the seller to give him 9 quivers of inferior crossbow bolts. After leaving the weapon shop, the seller thanks the MC and wishes him good luck on his journey. Ni Yan starts running through the city, thinking that his next stop will be the Buffalo Zone, since he has in mind that in Conviction, level suppression is brutal, because every 5 levels, the difference becomes an abyss. And these buffaloes are level 8. Not even the top one in the ranking would be able to defeat these creatures at the moment, not to mention the buffalo bosses, since every boss is a rare monster. But since he knows he was reborn with knowledge of the future, he knows exactly how to deal with this. Even while being at level 0, it does not take long before he soon arrives at the Buffalo Zone. The MC jumps to a place where there is a pile of rocks, which has a narrow path, and as soon as he confirms the coordinates, he concludes that where he is standing is exactly the place. Then, he finds where the zone boss is, which, in turn, is a level 8 creature and has 300 HP points. Nian Yan equips his small crossbow and thinks that he is right at the limit of the creature's range. Thus, not wanting to waste any more time, he fires a triple shot with his quivers. However, out of the 3 bolts, only 1 manages to land a critical hit, which still causes only 1 damage. While preparing more shots, the MC thinks that this will not matter because he brought 9,000 bolts, and that, if necessary, he will eliminate the Buffalo boss through sheer stubbornness. Ni Yan fires a few more shots, and once again only deals 1 damage to the creature, which, in turn, gets angry, and then charges toward the MC. However, the Buffalo boss ends up crashing into the rocks because the path is narrow. Ni Yan points his weapon at the creature and tells it to give up, because this is a confirmed bugged area in the future, and because of that, the creature will not be able to reach him. Thus, the MC fires 3 more bolts and takes 1 more point from the Buffalo boss's HP. A few minutes later, out of the 9,000 bolts the MC brought, he now has 8,063, and after 3 hours of firing several shots, the MC's current bolt count is 5,016, but the Buffalo boss's life is almost at its end. Ni Yan, a little tired, thinks that he has already spent almost 4,000 bolts, and the creature is still standing. But after firing a few more shots, the creature lets out a loud scream and collapses to the ground. The MC climbs down from the rock and approaches the Buffalo boss. The system informs him that he eliminated the Buffalo boss, receiving a level difference bonus of 1,800%. With that, the MC gains 8,290 experience points and evolves to level 2. Ni Yan crouches down to see what the creature dropped and picks up a bronze-grade dagger, which costs 5 copper coins when sold. But he keeps in mind that, in Conviction, equipment is classified as common, bronze, silver, gold, and legendary. Rare monsters such as bosses, sub-elites, elites, and lords are extremely scarce, since only about 1 in 1,000 drops comes with attributes, and each piece like that is precious. A bronze-grade weapon has about 20% more attack than a common one, besides an extra attribute. Ni Yan reflects that a Buffalo boss should drop a level 5 item, and that the bronze-grade dagger he got should be worth at least 3 silver coins, but he needs to identify it first, until he receives a system notification informing him that his sturdy leather leggings were sold for 8 copper coins. In addition, the player named Flying Stone is requesting a voice call. The MC becomes intrigued and wonders if it could be the Silent Paladin who sold the book, but he decides to accept the voice call. The Silent Paladin, very euphoric, calls the MC Master and says that he went to the coordinates he mentioned and that, in fact, what he had said really worked, because he has already obtained 2 stealth books and is leveling up twice as fast. But since he only gave 1 book and the MC handed him an absurd farming spot, he wants to know if he did not end up at a loss. Ni Yan tells the Paladin to relax and only reminds him not to forget to send the night vision item if it drops. He says he will send it by mail the second the item drops, but he wants to know how the MC knew about that place, since he was level 0. Ni Yan explains that he had another account before, but deleted it to start over as a thief. The Paladin says he understands and thinks the MC's old account must have been high level, but since it was old, he wants to know if he managed to clear the Fallen Shaman Camp dungeon, since his team tried several times over the last few days and only got beaten, losing almost all their equipment and experience. Ni Yan says he is selling the complete step-by-step guide for 2 silver coins. The Paladin gets excited upon hearing this and asks if the MC really has the complete guide for the fallen shaman camp. Ni Yan replies that he does. This makes the paladin even more excited, saying that 2 silver coins are nothing, and that he should wait because he will convince his captain to buy the guide. After the call ends, Ni Yan thinks that now he needs to identify his dagger, and as soon as he returns to Telik village, he goes to an appraiser and asks her to identify his dagger. She takes the item and informs him that the fee is 10 copper coins. Then, she asks if he wants to proceed. Ni Yan is surprised by the amount since, as far as he remembers in Conviction, the appraisal fee used to be 5% of the NPC selling value. The appraiser explains that since the market price is usually 6 times higher or more, his bronze dagger is worth at least 12 silver coins. Thus, the MC hands over the 10 copper coins and asks the appraiser to continue with the identification. She begins using her skill on the equipment, and it does not take long before she informs him that it is a buffalo horn dagger of bronze quality. The attributes are 18 attack points and plus 5 strength. Ni Yan takes his weapon back and comments that, apparently, adding everything together, the dagger has almost 10 more attack than a common dagger. It is simply an absurd advantage. Then, the MC reflects that, at the moment, he already has the weapon and has obtained Vital Strike and Stealth. So, he knows that only one thing is missing: stamina to endure fight after fight. But to have this sustainable power, a thief usually chooses between alchemy or the bandage skill. Health potions and elixirs are essential to recover quickly in the middle of battle, but they are quite expensive. However, since he is a transmigrator, money is not a problem because he can buy potions whenever he wants. And because of that, it makes more sense to learn combat bandaging. With that in mind, the MC goes to the alchemist's shop and asks for 2 basic underwater breathing potions. The seller quickly hands over the requested order. Thus, Ni Yan heads to Lake Rando, and while several other players battle against the creatures in the area, the MC passes through the middle at high speed, with his stealth skill active, thinking that players there are always causing trouble over anything, and because of that, he knows he needs to stay alert to everything, until he reaches the outskirts of the Murloc village. Ni Yan reflects that, to get where he needs to go, he has to cross this Murloc village and enter Lake Rando, but to clear the entire area, he knows it would take at least 1,000 people, so he thinks that, for now, he will just sneak through. However, the system appears, informing him that there will be an area announcement. This puts the MC on alert. The system announces that the Victorious Return Guild will clear the area in 3 minutes, and, because of that, players near the Murloc village should leave immediately. Ni Yan, upon hearing the guild's name, reflects that it is exactly the same as it was in his past life, where all the members are arrogant and overbearing, always using numbers to crush solo players. In addition, because of that, he spent months being hunted by this guild. However, he knows that he is still fine for now, but when the right time comes, he will settle the score with each one of them. Thus, he keeps running and rushes straight past the creatures. But as soon as his stealth ends, a huge fireball heads toward him. The MC is hit directly, and the system informs him that the player Purple Fire is attacking him, but that the MC can act in self-defense for 3 minutes, who, in turn, while preparing another attack, explains to the MC that solo players are not allowed there, and if he wants to stay alive, he should get out immediately. Ni Yan realizes that he is a member of the Victorious Return Guild, and apparently, there is only one of him, so he thinks it might even be worth picking this fight. Thus, while charging straight toward the elemental mage, he reflects that against a mage, it is always the same thing: either close the distance or run away. And as he prepares to launch an attack, he knows that running away is not really his style. And since the fireball takes 2 seconds to cast, there is more than enough time to get close to the mage. Then, he lands an attack and deals 23 damage, but the player steps back and shouts, wanting to know if the MC actually wants to be eliminated, because this is Victorious Return Guild territory. With that said, he prepares his Violent Ring of Fire skill and launches it at the MC, who ends up taking 39 damage when hit. But while being engulfed by the flames, he drinks a basic instant health potion and recovers 89 HP points. Then, while landing a direct hit on the mage, he wants to know if he really thought he could run after a thief got close. The player, while retreating, launches another attack and shouts for the MC to get away from him. Ni Yan, after being hit, thinks that the mage has already taken too many blows and that he even believes his HP must be low, around 20 points. But since he has 51 HP points, if he takes just one more fireball, it will be the end for him. The player prepares another fireball and shouts that the MC will regret crossing his guild's path. With that said, he launches another attack, but Niyan firmly grips his dagger, dodges the fireball, and uses his vital strike on the player's neck, who, in turn, starts trembling and wants to know how a level 2 thief was not eliminated after being hit directly by his fireball, until, after observing the MC more closely, he concludes that he must have used an instant health potion. But even so, he is only a level 2 thief, and because of that, he really wants to know where the MC got the money to buy that. As the mage is removed from the game, Niyan tells him to think about it after he respawns in the city. Then, after the player is removed, the MC picks up the dropped staff and thinks that maybe he can sell it for a few copper coins. But since he thinks the rest of Victorious Return will show up soon, he believes it is better to get out of there. It does not take long for one of the guild members to notice this and shout that there are enemies in the lake because Purple Fire has been eliminated. The players start running after the MC until a player jumps high into the air and shouts that Niyan will not escape. With that said, he uses his linear slash skill, but the MC manages to dodge at the last second. The player is intrigued to see that the enemy is fast. Niyan starts running again and drinks an underwater breathing potion. One guild member activates his charge, and the other Flaming Slash, and they continue going after the MC, but the players end up surprised by what they are seeing, since Niyan is looking at them and laughing, and, after dodging the attacks, he jumps away and falls into the lake. The players get nervous since none of them has an underwater breathing potion, and because of that, they cannot go after the MC, until more members of the Victorious Return Guild arrive and immediately want to know where the enemy went. The warrior woman says he jumped into the lake and escaped. One of the players who just arrived says that Purple Fire must have already respawned, and because of that, he tells them to ask him what the name of the guy who eliminated him was. While Niyan swims inside the lake, one of the guild members informs his superior that Purple Fire said the thief's name is Nirvana Flame. The superior laughs and says he will remember that name, so that the next time they meet, he can teach him a lesson. After swimming for a while, the MC thinks that he must have already shaken off the guild members, and that if he is not mistaken, there is a hidden chest where he is. Until, after swimming a little farther ahead, he ends up finding the chest, and as soon as he opens it, he receives a Murloc water repelling pearl, which has a special underwater breathing skill. The effect allows the user to breathe underwater for 30 minutes, and the item's cooldown is 12 hours, until the MC becomes very startled when he sees a trident rushing past close to his face. And while looking toward the surface, he wonders if, somehow, he accidentally entered a Murloc nest. Then, while trying to swim away, he keeps in mind that underwater, he definitely will not be able to handle the creatures, until something catches the Murloc's attention, since several explosions are happening in their village, and quickly, all the creatures that were attacking the MC desperately rush back to the village. Niyan thinks that the Victorious Return Guild did a good job, because thanks to them pulling all the Murlocs away, the place where he is will probably be very safe. After swimming for a few minutes, the MC ends up discovering Hard Island. Then, he rises to the surface and hears someone shouting, asking for help. Niyan starts to remember that the person shouting for help is a sacred oracle who was his teammate in his past life, but he did not expect to run into her there after being reborn. Besides that, he also remembers that they even had a long history together. The girl soon notices the MC's presence and shouts that she is being chased by 3 monsters. Niyan jumps out of the water and comes down using his final strike on one of the creatures. Then, the Sacred Oracle activates her Holy Retribution skill on the creature the MC just attacked, and both attack at the same time. After defeating all the monsters, they get out of the water, and she thanks the MC for his help. He smiles and says it was nothing, and that his in-game name is Nirvana Flame. She is surprised to hear that name, and, observing the MC more closely, wonders if he could possibly be the same Nirvana Flame she once knew. But even so, she thanks the MC once again and says her name is Cha-Cha, and since he saved her, she suggests that they add each other as friends, because she will try to find some way to repay him. Niyan adds Cha-Cha as his friend, but he wants to know what she is doing on Hard Island, and if, by any chance, she is on a mission. The Oracle says she has a mission to hunt water spiders and collect water sacks. The MC says he is also there for the water spiders, but he needs fine silk, So, he wants to know why they do not form a party together. Cha-Cha agrees and says that she has actually already dropped some fine silk, and that he can have it if he wants. The system informs him that the player Cha-Cha traded 12 items with the MC. After taking the items, he comments that the amount of fine silk he received would be worth around 36 copper coins if sold. However, the Oracle points out that the experience she would have lost if she had been eliminated would be much more valuable than a few pieces of fine silk, and since she does not have the mission for them, they will be useless to her in the end. Until, while the two are talking, the Water Spider Lord comes out of the lake and charges straight toward the players. Na Yan quickly forms a party with the Oracle and moves fast. Then, he delivers a vital strike to the creature, dealing 52 damage. Cha-Cha equips her staff and casts her Holy Retribution skill. The Water Spider is hit and suffers 70 damage. Nia Yan tells the Oracle to jump, and both dodge the creature's attack. With that said, while the MC takes out his crossbow, he tells Cha-Cha that he will pull the spider's aggro and that, after he creates an opening, she should follow up with damage. Thus, Ni Yan fires his triple shot and deals a certain amount of damage to the spider. The Oracle does not stay still either and casts her Holy Strike, hitting the Water Spider directly. With that, the system informs them that they have successfully eliminated the Water Spider Lord. Cha-Cha looks at the MC and wonders why fighting alongside him feels so easy, since even a Lord monster fell as if it were nothing. It is also the first time she has felt this. And even though it is her first meeting with him, their coordination was perfect, almost as if they had played together 1,000 times before. Nia Yan notices the Oracle observing him and immediately wants to know if something happened. She feels a little embarrassed and replies that it was nothing, that she was just thinking about how good their skills are. Then, she wants to know why he plays alone. Nia Yan replies that he just got used to being alone. Cha-Cha comments that since the MC is a solo player, her team is preparing for a raid in the Treant Forest in Telek Village. So, she wants to know if he is willing to go with them. Nia Yan wants to know how many shield warriors are in her group and how much defense and HP they have. Because the Treant Forest is a level 3 dungeon, the boss, the Treant King, is a sub-elite, so if the defense of her group's warriors is low, they will not even get past the entrance. Cha-Cha says that her group has 2 shield warriors, each with 53 defense points and 230 HP. The MC points out that, like that, it will not work, because the Treant King has a 2% critical hit chance. And if their defense is lower than 60, one critical hit and the tank will go down instantly. Besides, the priest still has to be able to keep the healing up. The Oracle is surprised to hear that the Treant King can deal critical damage, because she has never heard anyone mention that. So, she wants to know how the MC knows all these things. However, Cha-Cha points out that they have already prepared for days, and that because of that, she is afraid they cannot give up. Because to reach 60 defense, the shield tanks would need at least 1 bronze piece of equipment, and that is not easy to get at all. Nia Yan says there is another way, but she needs to let him lead her group. She agrees, and says that she does trust his strength, but that she may not be able to convince the rest of her group. Even so, she will try to convince them. The MC says he will wait for her answer, but before that, they need to see what the Water Spider Lord dropped. As soon as he picks up the item, he activates Inspect and discovers that it is a fine silk bracelet of bronze quality. The equipment's attributes are +2 defense and +3 mana. The required class is Mage. Ni Yan gives the item to Cha-Cha and says it is perfect for her, who in turn wants to know what he will receive. The MC says that the boss also dropped a rare fine silk and a skill book for the thief class, which is Assassination. The Oracle is happy to hear this and comments that both of them had absurd luck. At that moment, a system notification appears, informing them that the game will shut down in 3 minutes and that players need to prepare to log out. Cha-Cha tells the MC that she can hardly wait to see him again. He waves to her and thinks that, for one day, he leveled up quite well. After leaving the game, Ni Yan looks out the window and realizes that it is already morning of the next day. And, while putting on his sneakers, he thinks that his progress in conviction is paused, but that he needs to start training his body, since he is certain that Cao Shu is surrounded by bodyguards. And because of that, he cannot continue being defenseless. And as he goes out running to train a little, he is almost run over by an out-of-control truck, but ends up crashing hard onto the ground. Ni Yan, very frightened, tries to get up, until a girl appears, calling out to him and wanting to know if he is okay. The MC is surprised to see that it is Ziyao, who in turn wants to know how the MC can be so careless. With that said, she goes to the car and says she has a first aid kit. Niyan thinks that Ziyao is his classmate, the greatest regret of his past life, since, because of his weakness, he never had the courage to say what he felt for her. And, in the end, just because she was connected to him, she became a target of Cao Shu's Century Financial Group. While she wraps a bandage around the MC's elbow, Ziyao asks him to stop acting without thinking, until, when she looks up, she notices the MC staring at her closely. Thus, she feels a little embarrassed, and asks if, by any chance, he heard what she said. Niyan wants to know if he does not have her to take care of him, but he thinks that, as always, she is still too cute. Ziyao returns to the car, saying that she does not care about that, and says goodbye to the MC. And as she gets into the car, she starts wondering if her friend could be the player called Nirvana Flame. But for some reason, her friend seems different, because he appears more confident, just like the player Nirvana Flame in the game. As for the MC, with a very serious expression, he thinks that seeing Ziyao again in itself has already made him happy, but that maniac Cao Shu, sooner or later, will try to destroy everything again. So, he needs to build a solid foundation in conviction as quickly as possible. Only then will he be able to change the fate of his past life. Until, when he picks up his phone, he notices Tang Yao calling, and as soon as he answers, the blondie shouts, wanting to know where the MC has been, since he has gone 2 days without showing any signs of life. Niyan says it is good to hear his voice and that, apparently, he is still alive, but he keeps in mind that Tang Yao is his best friend, and in his past life, when he was at rock bottom, he was the one who risked being discovered by Cao Shu just to help him. However, he also knows that he had one flaw, since he was always chasing after women, and he ended up getting into a fight at a bar out of jealousy, offended someone powerful, and was beaten until he could no longer endure it. After that, they threw his body into a dark alley, but the MC swears to himself that this time, he will not let that happen. A few hours later, the MC meets his friend, who immediately hugs him. Then, he says that conviction is booming and asks if, by any chance, he has been playing. Niwa Yan replies that he has, and says that his class is Shadow Thief and that he is level 2. Tang Yao calls the MC to go to the PK bar and says that he is a level 3 arcane mage in the game. As soon as they arrive at the bar, Ni Yan keeps in mind that the PK bar is an entertainment club where players can use their own game characters to duel there, but the result does not affect their real progress. However, since it is competitive, there is always betting involved, usually 1 or 2 pieces of equipment. Besides, his friend loves to bet, even though he almost always loses, until a guy named Wei Kai approaches Tang Yao and asks if, by any chance, he is there to leave more money behind. The blondie says they will see who wins this time. Wei Kai, upon seeing the MC, wants to know if he is also going to participate, because apparently, he has not learned from last time. While Ni Yan was about to confront him, Tang Yao grabs him and asks him to relax, because as long as he is there, no one will touch him. Meanwhile, Wei Kai is a little intrigued, wanting to know why the MC seems so calm, and if, by any chance, he has become braver. Tang Yao calls out to Wei Kai and tells him to stop stalling, because this time, they will bet 200 per round. After agreeing on the bet amount, both put on their helmets and enter the game. Ni Yan keeps in mind that Wei Kai is a level 3 berserker and has already learned charge. It is a terrible matchup for an arcane mage. Besides, since the terrain is flat, his friend will not be able to attack Kai and run away, so he thinks he should lose. Until another guy calls out to the MC and asks him to stop looking at the big screen, because the round already belongs to his friend, but he wants to know if the MC is willing to have a match with him. Nia Yan accepts, but makes it clear that it will only be 1 round, and that if the bet is too low, he will not waste his time. The guy gets angry, calls the MC arrogant, and says he will teach him a lesson. Thus, both put on the game helmets, starting a duel between a Shadow Thief and a Ranger. Upon entering the game, Ni Yan realizes that the battle location will be a bamboo forest. Shifeng quickly becomes startled when he sees the MC activating the stealth skill. Then, both move quickly. The Ranger keeps his distance and thinks that the MC is too full of himself and that he will lose because of it. But when he looks around and realizes that he cannot see or hear anything, he wonders where the MC could be. Meanwhile, Ni Yan looks up after hearing a sound from one of the bamboo bushes. Then, he thinks that, with 10 years of experience as a thief, hiding his presence is something very natural. Thus, he jumps high into the air and appears behind the ranger's back, ready to launch an attack. The player, when turning around, is hit directly and takes 40 damage, but he tries to counterattack, launching a circular slash. Ni Yan, while carefully watching the attack coming toward him, says that the fight is already over. With that said, he activates his Vital Strike skill and lands another powerful attack on the player, dealing 70 damage to his HP. Shifeng cannot withstand the attack and is completely defeated. The people watching the battle are surprised, wondering if the fight is already over because it was too fast. Meanwhile, the MC thinks that dueling one-on-one against a level 2 novice ranger class player is practically bullying. Shifeng, completely devastated after losing the battle, starts questioning how he could have lost in such a way, since it was only a few simple moves. On top of that, the MC struck his vital points and eliminated him with just one blow. Then, he looks at Ni Yan and wonders since when he became so determined, because from what he remembers, the MC was a guy who always lowered his head to everyone. After the blondie finishes his fight, Ni Yan asks how it went. He says that he lost 2 rounds and burned through 1,200 in cash. With that said, he explains that Kai learned the Berserker's anti-magic aura, which is exactly a perfect counter to the Arcane Mage. The MC emphasizes that, in reality, the anti-magic aura only slightly reduces magic damage and is not as absurd as his friend is thinking, because he thinks that, if he gets the timing of his spells right, fighting a Berserker is easy. Tang Yao says that the problem is that he did not get the timing right, and his skills went on cooldown, while Kai closed the distance too quickly and eliminated him in a single blow. However, he is intrigued by the way the MC explained things, so he wants to know where he learned so much. Ni Yan does not answer, and simply shows the money he won in his battle. This leaves the blondie very surprised, wanting to know if he really won a match. Meanwhile, one of Kai's friends does not like seeing the MC acting arrogant and shouts, telling him to stop acting so full of himself. Then, he charges forward to try to land a punch and keeps shouting, wanting to know how he dares to take his friend's money. Ni Yan grabs the guy's wrist and slams him hard into the ground. Then, he reflects that, in his past life, in order to deal with Cao Shu, he practiced fighting a lot. Tang Yao watches his friend and, extremely surprised, wonders since when he became so tough. Shifeng tells Kai that he thinks it is better not to mess with the MC, because he is definitely not someone they should pick a fight with. Meanwhile, Kai reflects that Ni Yan is very different from before, and just as his other friends were about to charge at the MC, he stops them and asks Ni Yan if he really dared to hit his lackey. The MC makes it clear that he was only playing around a little, but that the guy is kind of weak. Kai asks if Ni Yan would be willing to fight one round. He answers that he could, but emphasizes that if the bet is too low, he has no interest at all. Kai takes out the money and says that he has 3,000 in total there, and that they can even do 1,000 per round. Tang Yao shouts, saying that Kai is a level 3 Berserker and his friend is a level 2 Shadow Thief. So, he wants to know if Kai does not think this is a rather unbalanced matchup. However, Ni Yan says that he will accept the duel, but it will have to be 3,000 per round. Kai is a little surprised by the size of the bet, but even so, he accepts the duel. The blondie runs over to his friend and shouts, wanting to know if he has gone crazy, because as far as he knows, he does not have that much money. Ni Yan tells his friend to relax, since he only needs him to lend it to him. Tang Yao says that it is fine, and that he will risk everything for a friend. With that, the MC and Kai enter the game to duel. The place where both of them go is very open. Tang Yao, seeing this, says that it is not good at all, since the terrain is very flat, making it a terrible battlefield for a shadow thief who needs to hide. Kai calls out to the MC and says that if he thinks it is unfair, they can change the terrain. Ni Yan, while activating his stealth, replies that there is no need and that they can keep the prairie map. He says that and immediately moves at high speed. The Berserker starts looking from side to side, searching for the MC. Ni Yan moves closer to Kai and thinks that the grass will reveal his position and that the Berserker will definitely track his path through the movement of the grass. So, he thinks he needs external help. Then, he remembers the wind, and the Berserker becomes frightened when he realizes that the wind is getting stronger and that, because of it, he has lost track of the MC. With that, Kai swings his huge blade, intending to hit anything that approaches. But, seeing that he hit nothing, he reflects that it is the first time he has seen a shadow thief use stealth with such mastery. On top of that, the grass, which should be the easiest way to reveal a shadow thief's position, is being used in his favor. Meanwhile, the MC notices that the wind has stopped, and that, when the next gust of wind hits, it will be time to attack. Kai grips his sword tightly and says that, in order not to leave an opening, the MC's stealth movement speed must be very slow, and that he even thinks he must be somewhere in front of him at that exact moment. Then, the wind returns, and Ni Yan takes the chance to launch an attack on the player's back, who in turn immediately tries to retaliate with a spinning attack, but the MC manages to be faster and dodges the attack. However, the Berserker unleashes his spinning slash skill. Ni Yan takes a little damage, but he keeps in mind that after the Berserker uses that skill with a large sword, there is a post-cast delay of about 1 second. So while watching his opponent, he knows that this will be the chance for his victory. And as soon as Kai finishes his movement, the MC notices that it is his chance and charges forward with his vital strike. One of Kai's partners cannot believe what he is seeing, since the MC's timing is absurdly precise. With that, Ni Yan manages to land his attack and deals 96 damage to his opponent, who in turn, after having his health reduced to 34 points, shouts, calling the MC a bastard. Then, he charges forward with his flaming slash skill. Tang Yao gets worried about his friend and hopes he dodges the attack. Ni Yan, while watching the attack coming at full force in his direction, reflects that Kai is trying to use flaming slash to force him to retreat. But, as a shadow thief, close-range combat is his advantage. And, since his health points are still high, even if he has to withstand the damage from the attack, he cannot leave his ideal combat range. With that, he decides to try to block the attack with his dagger and takes 56 damage. The Berserker shouts, calling the MC a brat, and asks if he really thinks he can withstand his skill head-on. Then, he unleashes his other skill, Linear Slash, and, while his attack heads toward the MC, the Berserker activates his charge and rushes forward as well. Tang Yao becomes very worried about his friend, since he keeps in mind that charge has a brief stun effect, and, if Ni Yan is hit, everything will be over. The MC dodges the Linear Slash skill and, while firmly gripping his dagger, reflects that the range of charge is not as long as the range of his dagger, and that because of this, if he takes advantage of this opening, he knows he will definitely win the duel. With that, taking advantage of his opponent charging at full speed in his direction, he delivers a precise slash, but ends up being hit by the Berserker's skill as well. But Kai, because of the precise attack he received, ends up losing the rest of his health points. Ni Yan is thrown backward and thinks that, even though he was hit by the impact, fortunately, he attacked first. With that, he wins the duel against Kai. While Tang Yao is happy to see his friend beat someone one level higher, Kai's lackeys cannot believe this turnaround and immediately want to know how Ni Yan knows the range of a Berserker's skills so well. Meanwhile, Kai himself, after leaving the game, questions whether he really lost. The blondie runs over to the MC, saying that he is very good and that he even won as a level 2 against a level 3. Ni Yan says it was pure luck. Tang Yao hugs his friend and says that since he understands the game so well, he thinks he could teach him how to play as an arcane mage. The MC says that there will be no problem at all and that he will teach him everything he knows. At that moment, Kai and his lackeys approach, and the blondie immediately asks if there will be any problem and if, by any chance, they will not keep their word after losing. Kai asks who Tang Yao thinks he is, because he accepts his defeat, and that, if the blondie and Nie Yan have time in the future, they should both feel free to stop by PK Bar anytime. With that said, he turns around and calls his lackeys to leave. However, one of the lackeys wants to know why his boss was so polite to the MC. Kai emphasizes that he cannot judge someone only by what he is at the moment, because he has to look further ahead, since the MC has changed and one day he may reach the top. And, because of that, he thinks it is better not to turn him into an enemy. Nie Yan calls his friend so they can leave as well, and says that, since he made a lot of money from the fights, he will pay for a meal. But as for the arcane mage stuff, they can talk about it in the game at night. Tang Yao gets excited and says that he can hardly wait for it. A few hours later, already at night, the MC is doing abdominal training and several push-ups. And, as soon as he finishes the workout, he thinks that a young body is always very good, and that, since he finished training, it is time to enter the game, because according to what was agreed, he still needs to clear the Treant Forest with Yao Yao's team. But as soon as he finishes logging in, he immediately receives a system notification informing him that the player Hawk has requested to add the MC as a friend. Then, another notification from the player Flying Stone appears, informing him that he deposited 1 silver coin into the MC's personal storage and left a message, in which he said that the guide the MC provided really worked, and because of that, they cleared the fallen shaman camp. But he wants to know if, besides that, the MC has any guide for the muddy swamp of Ogromat. First, Ni Yan accepts the friend request and thinks that the player named Hawk must be his friend Tang Yao, and since he is there, he will take him along to clear the Treant Forest. As for the guide for the muddy swamp of Ogromat, he knows that he cannot keep selling dungeon guides, or people will start getting suspicious. So, he thinks it is better to wait until their team fails a few times and then sell it for a good price. Then, he looks at a fisherman on the shore of a lake and reflects that it is time to turn in the hidden quest. And as soon as the MC approaches Dr. Blevins, the system notifies him that the hidden quest has been activated, and the old man wants to know how many pieces of fine silk he collected. Ni Yan says that he has 30 pieces of fine silk. Blevins thanks the MC for his generosity and says that, as a form of thanks, he will accept these 30 pieces of silk. On top of that, he has decided to teach him a skill. With that, the system asks the MC if he wants to learn the intermediate combat bandage skill taught by Dr. Blevins. Yan replies that this is exactly what he came looking for, so he decides to learn the skill, which has the effect of creating and using bandages. Each bandage restores 20 health points. The cast time is 10 seconds and can be interrupted after 3 seconds. It can also be used on teammates. Then, the system informs him that Dr. Blevins' commission hidden quest is 20% complete. This leaves Nia Yan confused, because he handed over the fine silk and the quest should have ended. So, he wonders if it could be a chain quest. The old man goes over to the MC and emphasizes that 30 pieces of fine silk are far from enough because he needs more fine silk, but he wants to know if the boy is willing to help him find them. Nia Yan replies that he is at the old man's disposal and thinks that, indeed, it really is a chain quest. Then he receives a call, and when he answers, it is Yao Yao, a little nervous, saying that her group has already gathered and that the MC needs to arrive quickly. He replies that he was delayed a little, but that he will be on his way soon. And upon returning to Telek Village near the teleportation point, Tang Yao appears, wanting to know where his friend is, because he had said he would take him to a dungeon. The MC appears, calls out to his friend, and says that he will take him to farm the Treant King. And as soon as they go to a certain place in Telek Village, the blondie is surprised to see a group of players approaching. Yao Yao shouts to the MC and asks him to hurry up. Tang Yao gets excited by the girls he is seeing and says that they are a real feast for the eyes, but wants to know where his friend met them. The Oracle tells the MC that she had to work very hard to convince Yulan, and because of that, he had better not embarrass her in front of everyone. Meanwhile, another player in the group does not like seeing that the MC has the same class as him at all. At that moment, Yulan calls the MC Nirvana Flame and asks if he is the shadow thief Yao Yao mentioned, the one who could guide them through the Treant Forest. But she thinks that the guy she is seeing looks very calm. On top of that, from the look of it, his posture is relaxed and controlled. And because of that, she thinks he definitely has the demeanor of an expert. Ni Yan replies that yes, and says that he is 100% certain they will be able to clear the Treant Forest. But first, he needs to make a few things very clear, namely that he will be the leader, and everyone must follow his orders. Some of the players in the group do not like this very much. Meanwhile, Chen Bo wants to know why they should follow the orders of a stranger, and what if, in case he knows nothing, he ends up leading them into a total wipe. However, Yulan does not like this either, and scolds Chen Bo, asking if they had not already agreed on this before. He wants to know why she is siding with a stranger. Yulan apologizes to the MC for the behavior of her group member. Then, she asks him to create the party because she will tell everyone to join. Yan says that, in that case, while he is the leader, all of them must follow his orders without exception, and if anyone is dissatisfied, they can settle accounts with him afterward, and whoever does not want to participate is free to leave. But if anyone tries to sabotage the party or cause a wipe inside the dungeon, they should not blame him for not going easy on them. With that said, the MC creates the party. the players quickly begin joining the party. After that, Yulan emphasizes that from that moment on, Captain Nirvana Flame's orders are her orders, and that whoever tries to pull anything behind his back will no longer have a place on the team. Upon hearing his captain say this, Chenbo decides to join the MC's party. The MC, in turn, says that their goal is the same, to clear the Treant Forest dungeon, and that, aside from him and Hawk, everyone in the party is already on the same team. And, even if they do not like him, they do not need to take it out on their own companions and end up causing a wipe. And, if they fail because of poor leadership on his part, or because of some mistake, he is willing to compensate each of them with 10 silver coins. This leaves the players very surprised to hear that. After all, 10 silver coins is quite a lot. Yulan calls out to her friend and asks where she found the MC because he is confident and bold, and maybe he really can guide them through the Treant Forest. The Oracle says that she had already said Nirvana Flame would be able to handle it. Nia Yan asks everyone to state their names and attributes, but says that he will start with the Shield Warriors first. The big guy says that his name is Boiled Water and that he is a Shield Warrior with 61 points of defense, 230 health points, 27 attack, and that he is the main tank of the party. Then, Jiaozi introduces himself and says that he is also a Shield Warrior, but has 51 defense points, 160 health points, and 28 attack points. After that, the player named Blaze introduces himself and says that he is a Fire Mage and has 32 points of magic damage. After everyone states their names and attributes, Nie Yan calls out to Boiled Water and asks him to go buy a haste potion. As for Pumpkin, the MC asks him to buy a strength potion. Boiled Water says that each one costs dozens of copper coins, so he wants to know if that is not too expensive. The player named Pumpkin emphasizes that even if they manage to clear the Treant Forest, it is not guaranteed that they will recover the money they invested. Chenbo also says that he was starting to think the MC really had some skill, but that, by buying this many potions, even if he were the leader, he could clear the Treant Forest. Tang Yao tells Chenbo that he talks a lot for someone who is probably too poor to buy potions, because if he is out of money, he can lend him some. The player gets nervous and shouts, wanting to know what the blondie just said. He replies that he was clear in what he said and calls Chenbo a cheapskate. Yao Yao calls out to the MC and asks if they really need to buy that many potions for one run on the normal difficulty of the Treant Forest, because maybe they will not even recover the money. Ni Yan replies that everyone will understand when the time comes, and that telling them to buy potions is definitely not a waste, since he keeps in mind that it is because the run he is going to take them on is not on normal difficulty, but on the highest one, Expert. Yulan asks everyone to follow the captain's instructions and buy the potions for now. After that, and as soon as the players buy the potions, the MC calls everyone to go to the dungeon. It does not take long before they arrive at the location. Nie Yan asks some members to wait there, because he is going to activate the dungeon. With that said, the MC places his hand on the magic runestone and says the following chant. Standing before this lush forest, he notices strange characters carved into a huge and bizarre stone. Walkers of the jungle, they absorb drops of dew under the morning sun. The melody of the shepherd's flute floats through the groves. Awakened from ancient times, sleeping spirits of the trees, the counselors of the Viridian Council say that traces of dark elves have appeared in the groves. You murmur to yourself, those damned dark elves never stop. With that, the system appears, asking the MC to select the difficulty of the Treant Forest dungeon, which are simple, normal, hard, master, and expert. Ni Yan selects expert difficulty, and then they begin to be teleported. And then, finally, everyone is taken to the middle of the Treant Forest dungeon with the difficulty set to expert. The player named Pumpkin is very frightened when he sees the difficulty and shouts, wanting to know if the MC clicked the wrong option by any chance, because from what they know, there is no way they can survive on an extremely high difficulty. Meanwhile, Yulan, a little intrigued, thinks that a person like the MC would not make such a basic mistake. So, she wonders if he had intended to clear expert difficulty from the very beginning. Chenbo becomes even more nervous with the MC and shouts, saying that he has already understood what he is doing, because he must have done it on purpose to screw everyone over. But even so, he wants to know why he would choose expert difficulty just to get everyone eliminated and make them lose experience. Yan replies that since he brought everyone there, naturally he has a way to get everyone out alive, and that, once again, if Chen Bo is not satisfied, he is free to leave the party. Yao calls out to Chen Bo and says that Nirvana Flame is the friend she invited, and that, if he has any problem, he should speak directly to her and not keep taking it out on the MC. Chen Bo becomes worried by the way the Oracle spoke and immediately tries to explain himself, saying that he has no problem with her at all. However, he keeps thinking that he cannot believe Yao would side with a stranger. After that, Yan asks for everyone's attention and emphasizes that expert difficulty is not as absurd as they think, since the creature's health points are only about 30% higher, and the defense requirements for shield warriors and the damage requirements for mages are a little higher. On top of that, the Treant King boss changes quite a lot, but he will warn them when the time comes. Yulan thinks that the MC speaks as if everything were so simple, since, in a dungeon, even a small deviation, like 1% of health points, or 1 point of defense or magic damage, can already cause a wipe. So, she wonders what a 30% difference in health points would be, and where the MC gets so much confidence from. Yao goes over to her friend and asks if he is sure. Yan asks her not to worry, and makes it clear that everything will work out in the end. Meanwhile, Chen Bo thinks that he will just sit back and see exactly how the MC intends to lead everyone through a dungeon in expert mode. A few minutes later, everyone starts walking through the forest, and it does not take long for some vines to attack. The MC shouts, warning that they have already entered the Treant's range. Chen Bo, completely distracted, does not notice the vines heading in his direction and is quickly grabbed all over his body. Then, he is pulled away, and a Treant appears before everyone. The Shadow Thief becomes desperate and shouts for help. Yan shouts, telling Boiled Water and Jiaoxi to attack from the right, the Paladins to form a defensive line, and the Mages to unleash everything they have. With that, the warriors advance against the creature and then strike the Treant with their shields. Then, the Mages cast their skills, and a huge explosion happens, eliminating the first Treant. Chen Bo is released by the vines and falls onto his back on the ground. But then, he looks at the MC and shouts, wanting to know if he did that on purpose since he saw the Treant and did not warn him beforehand. Yan tells Chen Bo that they need to make one thing clear. Everyone there saw the Treant at the same time, and even the shield warriors managed to dodge. And since he is a Shadow Thief, he wants to know how he failed to react in time. And, honestly, he even wonders how he manages to play as a Shadow Thief. One of the players in the group makes it clear that blaming others for his own lack of skill is pretty pathetic, because any random Shadow Thief Chen Bo picked up from the street would probably play better than him. Yulan asks everyone to end the argument, but wants to know if Chen Bo has not embarrassed himself enough yet. He tries to argue, but the MC interrupts and calls everyone to continue. And, since the Treant Forest is full of traps left behind by the Dark Elves, he will go ahead. And, since Chen Bo does not know how to play as a Shadow Thief, he will show him how it is done. With that, everyone starts running, and it does not take long for the first trap to appear, and a huge log heads toward the MC, who in turn dodges by jumping from one tree to another, and then he jumps again to avoid being caught by several arrows. But, while he is in the air, a huge net heads toward him. However, Yan quickly turns around and completely cuts the net with his dagger. The player Pumpkin is impressed by the MC's skill and wonders if he really plays that well as a Shadow Thief. Yulan, also impressed, says that he is very agile, since his efficiency in detecting traps is simply absurd. Chen Bo does not like hearing the MC being praised and, while running off, wants to know what is so incredible about what the MC is doing, because he can detect traps too. But as soon as he steps on the ground, he ends up falling into a deep pit trap, and, seeing that he is about to fall face first onto several sharp spears, he shouts, saying that this will be his end. But the MC grabs him by the leg and then drops him hard onto the ground. Then, Yan makes it clear to Chen Bo that he has never seen such a bad Shadow Thief. He says that the MC must have set this up because he saw him pass through there a little while ago. So, he wants to know why it was fine for him. Tang Yao gets angry when he hears Chen Bo suspecting his friend again, and shouts, saying that if it were not for the MC, he would already be eliminated. Yan emphasizes that Chen Bo was the one who stepped on the trap, and that it was not as if he had pushed him into it. So, he wants to know if just because he passed through there means it is automatically safe. because he thinks the truth is that Chen Bo simply is not fit to play as a shadow thief, who in turn does not like hearing this and quickly grabs his dagger. Then, he charges at the MC, saying that he will eliminate him. Nia Yan, with only 2 fingers, grabs Chen Bo's dagger and says that he had better find a few more people to help him, otherwise it will be too boring. This leaves the player completely devastated after seeing and hearing that. Yulan asks both of them to stop, but she calls out to Chen Bo and says that he was the one who stepped on the trap out of carelessness. But she wants to know why he is taking everything out on Nirvana Flame. Yao Yao points out that the MC saved him, and even so, he is still blaming the MC. On top of that, she never imagined Chen Bo was this kind of person, who in turn tries at all costs to explain himself, saying that it is all Nirvana Flame's fault since he set all of this up. On top of that, his own companions are siding with a stranger. Boiled Water asks Chen Bo to stop this and makes it clear that Nirvana Flame did nothing wrong and that Chen Bo has been picking on him from the very beginning, and everyone noticed it. The Shadow Thief laughs and says that he will just wait and see how the MC intends to lead them in the dungeon. He says that, walks off into the forest, and leaves the party. Yao Yao apologizes to Nirvana Flame and explains that she was the one who invited him to the dungeon and did not expect it to end up like this. He says that it is fine and that, in truth, it is even better without someone who only creates problems. But he keeps in mind that, from the look of it, if he wants to run dungeons in the future, he will have to build his own team. Then Yulan says that they will talk about what happened when they get out of there. But first, they need to finish the dungeon. After that, half an hour later, several treants are everywhere. Niyan says that he went ahead in stealth to take a look, and the path ahead is completely blocked by treants, 18 creatures in total. Yulan says that they will not be able to handle so many treants at once. He tells her to relax because he is not stupid enough to make them fight all of them at the same time. With that said, he gets ready and then jumps onto a very tall tree. The shield warrior wants to know what Nirvana Flame is going to do. He equips his small crossbow and thinks that now he will show everyone what a true god-level monster puller is. Thus, the MC fires a few shots. However, the shots are random and scattered, leaving the players in the group wondering what the captain is doing and whether he happened to slip when firing. Niyan returns to his position and asks Boiled Water to go to the position he had mentioned. Some treants become alert when they hear the arrows hitting some trees, and while some treants head toward where one of the arrows made a sound, another arrow hits another treant that stayed behind. Yulan is surprised to see this and comments that it is an absurd technique since she did not expect the MC to use a triple-shot hand crossbow to hit 3 different points and pull the monsters, because she had only heard of something like that in Legends. Then, she calls out to Yao Yao and asks where she found such an expert like the one they are seeing, since the 18 treants are very close to one another, and if even one of them is alerted, all of them will rush over. But the MC not only found the perfect position, he also managed to lure away most of the treants, because he knows that this requires monstrous vision and agility from a shadow thief, and even the elite thieves in the rankings would have difficulty doing something like that. Besides, if the team had had a thief of that level before, their survival rate in dungeons would have increased by at least 30%. The Oracle, very surprised upon hearing this, wonders whether the MC is really that strong. At that moment, some of the treants whose attention Nirvana Flame attracted charge toward the players. As everyone moves to attack, Niyan shouts for Boiled Water to hold back one treant, but to remember to keep his center of gravity steady, because the creature will not be able to knock him down. As for the rest, the MC asks them to follow him. With that said, both the MC and the other players land several attacks on the treant. The shield warrior, while holding back the treant's advance, thinks that what Nirvana Flame said really does work. After defeating one of the creatures, Yulan shouts for Boiled Water to hold on, because since they have already cleared things there, they will help him. Thus, once again, the players focus their attacks on a treant. In this way, they manage to defeat another one, but this time, everyone notices that the creature dropped something. As soon as she approaches, Yulan is surprised to see that it is mage equipment, bronze-grade bracers. The player Pumpkin gets excited, since they eliminated only 2 treants and already got a drop. Yao Yao asks Nirvana Flame how he did that moments earlier, because it was really incredible. He replies that he already said he would lead them through expert difficulty. With that said, He calls out to everyone and emphasizes that they will use the same method they used to clear all the trance there. Thus, once again, the MC fires a few shots with his small crossbow to attract the attention of some creatures, and then shoots an arrow into one of the treants to draw its attention. And as soon as the treants charge forward, the MC's group advances as well. 20 minutes later, after eliminating the treants, the players sit around the items dropped by the creatures and comment that they did not expect the profit from an expert difficulty dungeon to be so absurd, because they had barely finished clearing the treants there, and a bunch of items had already dropped. However, in the middle of the forest, something approaches the players. Ni-Yan notices this approach, but decides not to mention it. Then, he stands up and emphasizes that what they did was only the beginning, since the rewards of the Treant Forest on expert difficulty are much greater than what they are seeing. But for now, the players should rest a little before continuing. After resting for a while, they start walking through the forest again until they reach a fork, and the MC decides to head west. Yulan finds this strange and immediately asks if they should not go east from there, because, if she is not mistaken, the west is a dead end. Nia-Yan asks them to just follow him, since he will not let anyone come out at a loss. But he thinks that this hidden plot is extremely well hidden, and doubts that anyone in the entire game conviction has already discovered it. And, after they walk a little farther, the players hear something that soon grows even louder, and Yulan wants to know if the sound they are hearing could be flute music. The MC looks ahead and thinks that he has found the Treant Shepherd, the guardian of the jungle they are in. Then, he reflects that originally, under the old man's protection, Treants and humans lived in harmony, but for some reason, traces of dark elves appeared in the Treant Forest. Because of that, the creatures suddenly lost control and began eliminating humans. As a result, the Viridian Council decided to recruit warriors to enter the forest and eliminate the Treant King. And as soon as the players approach the old man, he warns them that the area there is very dangerous, since the Treants have eliminated any human who dares to enter the territory. For that reason, he suggests that the players leave immediately, because when night falls, under the glow of the moonlight, the Treants will gain a strange and powerful strength. The MC bows and calls the old man the respected shepherd of the Treants. Then, he says that they are there precisely to eradicate the Treants and make them be punished. The old man does not like hearing this, and shouts that the ones who deserve to be eliminated are the demons from the depths, and that they are the ones who should face God's judgment, since they stole his flute and are currently hiding in the shadows and darkness, laughing in his face. Yulan wants to know if the MC is perhaps trying to activate some hidden plot, and how he managed to find such a well-hidden NPC. As for Tang Yao, he wants to know since when the MC, who used to be a scared kid, became so absurd, he in turn thinks that without activating this plot, there is no way to defeat the Treant King in expert mode. Then, he agrees with the old man and says that he heard them as soon as he entered the Treant Forest. And because of that, he wants the holy light to purify the cursed monsters. The Treant Shepherd grabs the MC upon learning that he really managed to find them, but says that some dark elves stole his flute, and that caused the Treant Forest to plunge into chaos. Then, the old man shows a powder of revelation that he developed and says that it makes it so the elves have nowhere to hide. With that said, he asks the MC to eliminate them and recover his flute. That way, they will be able to defeat the furious Treant King. With this, the system informs them that Nalayan obtained 3 units of powder of revelation, which, when consumed, reveals all hidden creatures within a radius of 30 yards for 20 seconds. Thus, the MC asks everyone to follow him, because he has already obtained the special item. Then, he climbs down the canyon using a rope. After everyone climbs down and starts walking through the forest again, Yulan asks the MC if he can really find the dark elves the NPC mentioned. He replies that he can, and asks her to relax. After walking for a few minutes, they pass through a narrow bridge that leads to a cave in a mountain. Nie Yan says that they will corner the creatures there and finish off the 2 dark elves. Yao Yao wants to know how the MC knows where they are. He replies that it is because the dark elves have been following them from the beginning. This makes the oracle look from side to side, searching for the creatures, and it does not take long for the MC to realize that they are already very close. Then, he tells the others that the 2 dark elves are very cautious, so they need to finish them off all at once. Otherwise, he fears that it will be very difficult to catch them later. The creatures continue moving slowly, and keep doing so as the MC's group moves. With that, Ni Yan turns around with the Powder of Revelation in his hand and throws it toward the Dark Elves, who are immediately revealed by the powder's effect. Quickly, they turn around and run away, but Tang Yao and Boiled Water appear on the other side, preventing the creatures from leaving. However, one of the Dark Elves charges at the blonde boy, but the Shield Warrior steps in front and blocks the attack. With that, Tang Yao prepares his fireball, launches it, and hits the Dark Elf head-on. Yu Lan asks the other players to help in the fight. In this way, the MC's group completely surrounds the two Dark Elves and then shouts, demanding that the creatures return the Treant Shepherd's flute. Ni Yan charges forward, but soon has to dodge a counterattack. Then, he attacks with his Vital Strike skill and inflicts 50 damage on the Dark Elf. Yu Lan takes the chance and attacks the other elf with everything she has. And after they eliminate the two of them, the MC comments that he finally got what he wanted. Now, with the flute in his hand, he comments that they will be able to clear the Treant forest much more easily since the flute's effect makes the Treants feel more exhausted, in addition to reducing the attributes of Treant-type creatures by 50%. Then, Yao Yao, a little frightened, calls out to the MC and says that there is something strange in front of her and that he should take a look. Ni Yan picks up a piece of paper and wonders if it could be a letter, since the paper says that the Dark Elf, Vaseline, is providing information to the tribe, where the Drow tribe will launch a counterattack against Hilton Fortress, and that when that happens, Vaseline will return to the battlefield. With this, the MC activates the side quest, where he will have to deliver the secret letter to Warlord Cavalot and warn him about the Drow tribe's counterattack. Yao Yao wants to know what is written in the letter, because she cannot understand the elven writing. He says that it is a side quest, but that they will be able to deliver the letter in the city after they finish the dungeon. The players are happy to learn this, since it is an unexpected bonus, and they even start imagining what the reward could be. Ni Yan tosses the flute to the Shield Warrior and comments that since he is the group's main tank, he should protect the item with his own life. He, in turn, as soon as he takes the flute in his hand, gets excited when he sees that his health has increased and comments that now he is not even afraid of facing the Treant King anymore. Thus, the MC calls the players to keep advancing. Tang Yao comments that his friend is on another level and that at first the team was full of doubts about him, but everyone's attitude changed very quickly, something completely expected of his friend. A few minutes later, in the middle of the forest, the MC's group is facing some Treants and quickly eliminates the creatures. The player Boiled Water is very surprised when he picks up a bronze-grade round shield that increases defense by another 10%, since the shield he farmed before does not even come close to being good. Yulan comments to Nirvana Flame that she knows it might be asking too much, especially because they only got these pieces of equipment thanks to his leadership, but that she would like to buy his round shield, since she has in mind that with this shield, her team might be able to take on even higher level dungeons, even without the MC. Ni Yan comments that he only needs Shadow Thief equipment and the Treant King's Featherfall Jewel, so he would end up selling the rest of the equipment for money anyway, and because of that, he thinks it makes no difference who he sells it to, and since she needs it, he thinks she can keep the shield. Yao Yao apologizes to him and comments that, in the end, he ended up taking a loss because of them. Then, out of nowhere, some roots begin bursting out of the ground, and an explosion happens beneath the soil. Ni Yan grabs his dagger and shouts, telling everyone to pay attention because the boss has finally appeared and everyone needs to get ready and enter formation, in which the Shield Warriors should advance first and wait for his command. The Treant King appears, letting out a loud roar, and to make matters worse, the huge creature has 10,000 health points. Then, the Treant King calls the players cursed humans and asks how they dare invade his territory. Then, he launches the first attack at the MC, who needs to jump back to avoid being hit. After that, he sees another attack coming in his direction, but with his incredible agility, he manages to dodge that one as well. The group is surprised to see this, and Yu Lan wants to know how a level 2 Shadow Thief can dodge the attacks of a level 4 Lord so easily. Besides, she has never seen such a strong Shadow Thief before. At that moment, Ni Yan starts running over one of the creature's arms and shouts, telling Boiled Water to take the vanguard, and the melee fighters should stay behind Boiled Water. As for the mages, they must keep at least 30 yards away from the Treant King. Thus, the Shield Warrior advances, and upon hitting the creature, realizes that its defense is absurd. The MC shouts, warning the mages, and they launch their attacks. After that, the rest of the group also attacks the Treant King from all directions. A huge explosion happens because of the impact of the skills, but as soon as the dust settles, the Treant King attacks the Shield Warrior, and the MC tells him to use the flute immediately. Thus, the player Boiled Water begins using the item, and the system informs them that all of the Treant King's attributes have been reduced by 50%. Ni-Yan immediately shouts for the mages to use fire magic and avoid using ice, since the Treant King's resistance against that type is absurd. Tang Yao channels his power and comments that this is exactly his time to shine, since he is a fire mage. Then, the MC goes over to a female player and asks if she is from the priest class. She replies that she is, and the MC wants to know if she learned Dispel. The player replies that she learned it and that she is at his disposal. Thus, Ni-Yan asks her to keep an eye on Boiled Water, because in a few moments, the Treant King will use its Fear skill, and if the Shield Warrior is affected, she must use Dispel immediately. However, the MC notices that the player is a little hesitant, so he asks her to relax and not be nervous, because he will tell her when the time comes. Then, when he gives the order, she only needs to use the Dispel skill once. And as soon as the MC finishes saying this, the Treant King launches its Fear skill. The Shield Warrior is caught by the skill, but the priest acts quickly and activates Dispel. With that, the player Boiled Water is freed from the fear. She gets excited when she sees that she really managed to do something, and because of that, the other melee players charge forward and unleash several attacks on the boss. But as soon as the Treant King's health is reduced to less than 3,000 points, it lets out a huge roar. Ni-Yan shouts for everyone to stay alert, because the boss has entered Berserk mode. Yulan tries to withstand the massive airwave and comments that she did not expect the creature to really enter Berserk mode. Meanwhile, the MC runs over to the Shield Warrior and tells him to enter a defensive stance. Then, he orders the priest to drink mana potions and focus on healing. And as soon as they drink the potions, they quickly focus on recovery. The Shield Warrior, on the other hand, begins taking heavy damage while trying to block the attacks of the crazed boss. And as he loses health, he reflects that the creature's damage is becoming more and more absurd, and fears that he will not be able to hold on much longer, until he notices his health points being restored and tries once again to block the Treant King's attacks. But he thinks that if it had not been for the healing that arrived at just the right time and the old man's flute, he would definitely have fallen long ago. Then, Boiled Water drinks the instant health potion and concludes that, in the end, the potions Nirvana Flame told them to buy were precisely for this moment. At that moment, the Treant King begins spinning in a strange way. After that, it attacks the players with a war cry and throws them far away. But Ni-Yan quickly regains his composure and, while advancing, shouts for everyone to continue attacking, because the boss is almost out of health. The players do exactly what the captain just asked and launch their skills at the Treant King, which, in turn, being a large creature, cannot dodge and is hit by all the attacks. Ni-Yan takes advantage of his chance, throws his dagger, and hits the creature's face directly. Then, he rushes in with everything, steps on the dagger, and uses Vital Strike. The Treant King begins screaming loudly as its body starts to crack, and in a matter of seconds, the creature explodes completely. The players, seeing the remains of the Treant King, want to know if they really managed to win. Yao Yao comments that they did, but that she never thought that with the team they had, they would be able to clear the expert difficulty of the Treant Forest. The priestess emphasizes that it was all thanks to Nirvana Flame leading them, because without him, she thinks they would not have succeeded in any way. Boiled Water agrees, and emphasizes that he also never imagined he would be able to withstand the attacks of a boss at the level they faced, and that the feeling he is experiencing is just like the first time he cleared a dungeon. At that moment, the players are very surprised when they receive the dungeon experience, because everyone levels up. Meanwhile, the MC approaches the drop left behind by the Treant King, and when he picks up the item, he thinks that he went through a lot because of it. The item in question is the black gold quality Featherfall Jewel, an accessory that can be equipped or embedded into equipment. It grants 8 additional points in defense and 7 additional points in strength. Its special effect is that, when a skill is activated, the user's weight decreases, making him fall slowly, almost as if he were a feather, with the effect lasting 3 minutes. Then, the MC receives the dungeon experience and levels up. He is pleased to see that he has reached level 3, At that moment, the system informs the MC's group that they have completed the Treant Forest dungeon on expert difficulty. Because of this, the entire group receives 1,200 glory points. This makes everyone very excited, because they have never had such a huge increase before. Nia Yan tells Yao Yao that they can divide the rest of the loot among themselves, because he will not interfere. And now, all that is left is to go to the city of Kalore and deliver the letter from the side quest. One of the players celebrates when he remembers that there is still the reward from the side quest. Yulan thanks the MC and comments that she does not even know how to properly thank him. After that, an hour passes, and at the teleportation point in the city of Kalore, the MC's group is teleported. From afar, Chen Bo is lurking, only watching, but when he sees everyone happy, he wonders if they really leveled up. Then, he becomes furious and thinks that he will remember the MC forever, and that he will never forget the humiliation he made him go through for as long as he lives. After that, at the entrance of the military camp in the city of Kalore, Warlord Kavaro wants to know what the players are doing there. Niyan hands over the letter and says that they captured 2 dark elves in the Treant Forest and obtained some information about Hilton Fortress. As soon as the warlord reads what is written in the letter, he is very surprised. Then, he thanks the MC and says that he has performed a great service and that he will prepare a reward. With that, the side quest is completed, and the MC's group gains 12 reputation points with Hilton Fortress, 10 reputation points with the city of Kalore, and another 32,000 experience points. In addition, Niyan receives combat techniques from Cavaro, 2 additional points in strength, 2 silver coins, and finally, the stun skill book. Niyan thinks that he did not expect to gain 2 strength points and even a skill book. Then he concludes that this hidden quest was really worth it. After that, he goes over to Yao Yao and comments that the quest has been turned in and that it is time to leave. She wants to know what he plans to do. The MC replies that he is going to level up by farming monsters, since he has in mind that now that he has the Featherfall Jewel, he can try farming the elite monster called Lion King Catter. Since everything has been resolved, Yao Yao says goodbye to the MC and says that as soon as she sells the items they obtained, she will send his share by mail. After everyone leaves, Tang Yao runs over, hugs his friend's leg, and says that after doing the dungeon with him, he is completely convinced. Then, he wants him to teach him how to play as an arcane mage. Niyan replies that it is fine, but emphasizes that they first need to get some equipment for him. Thus, they both go to the blacksmith. The MC buys a bronze bracer, which grants 2 additional points in agility, the chaotic leather armor, which gives 2 points in strength, the soft leather leggings, which grant 3 additional points in agility, and the rabbit leather boots, which increase defense by another 2 points. Then, he calls his friend to go with him to the Rain Hills to farm, and says that on the way, he will teach him how to play as an arcane mage. An hour later, already in the Rain Hills, Nia Yan says that there are many bats in the caves of the hills, but the creatures drop bat fangs. And because of that, he gives Tang Yao 1 hour, because he wants to see how many fangs he can farm. The blonde boy tells his friend to relax, because he is going to crush it. With that said, he gets ready and runs into the cave in the hill. It does not take long for a bat to charge at the blonde boy, who in turn does not stand still and eliminates it easily. Tang Yao laughs and thinks it is going to be a piece of cake. Meanwhile, outside the cave, the MC is thinking that he cannot stay idle. So, he quickly heads to another cave, and once inside, he starts eliminating several bats. In a matter of seconds, he obtains 2 bat fangs and thinks that half an hour has already passed and wants to know how his friend is doing. Then, Ni Yan receives a call from the blonde boy, and he shouts for help because he has been surrounded by players with red names. The MC knows that these are players who illegally eliminated other players in the game and were punished by the system, causing their names to appear in red so other players can know who they are. So Nia Yan wants to know if Tang Yao is really seeing the players' names in red. He replies that he is, and says that, from what he saw, he thinks they must be from the Bright Flame Guild. The MC immediately starts running and tells Tang Yao to keep hiding because he is already on his way. He comments that, for now, he is fine, since luckily, the terrain in the Rain Hills is complicated and he is making the players run around in circles, and they still have not managed to catch him. While running very fast, Ni Yan wants to know how his friend ran into those players. Tang Yao says that he has no idea because he was just eliminating bats when he came across a level 3 leader. Then, he thought about calling him to help, but he did not expect to fall into an ambush. And apparently, the players seem like the kind of red name players who eliminate people to steal equipment. Nia Yan comments that he understands and tells the blonde boy to keep stalling the players because he wants to have a little fun with those guys. Then, the MC goes to the top of a rock and notices that there are players watching the entrance of the cave where his friend is. Dan Kang, a level 3 elemental mage, becomes impatient and asks if the others still have not caught the brat inside the cave. Another player asks his boss to calm down and comments that the kid has no way to escape them. Besides, the brat does not even seem to have good equipment, being practically a beggar. Ni Yan thinks that if a red name player is eliminated, all of his equipment drops immediately, and if he is not mistaken, the red name elemental mage is wearing the fire chaser set. Then, he activates his stealth and, while descending the mountain at high speed, thinks that since the players have the courage to camp people even while having red names, they must be quite confident in their own strength. And, because of that, he knows he cannot underestimate them. Ni Yan gets close to them, and Dian Kang turns around at the same moment, suspicious. His partner wants to know what happened, but as soon as the MC gets closer to the players, Dian Kang notices his presence and jumps back, saying that he had been waiting for him for a long time. With that said, he activates his Ring of Fire skill and is protected by flames. The other players notice the MC approaching the boss and shout that they will eliminate him for being so insolent. Meanwhile, Ni Yan reflects that the elemental mage knows what he is doing, and because of that, he cannot let him create distance. Thus, he activates the speed scroll and gains 20% more speed for 30 seconds. But as soon as he gets closer to Dian Kang's skill, he takes a bit of damage, and the system immediately informs him that he is being attacked by another player, and that he can act in self-defense. Ni Yan passes through the mage's ring of flames and gets very close to him, who, in turn, becomes frightened and thinks that the maniac MC is really approaching even while taking damage from his ring of fire. Then, he wonders how he is so fast. Ni Yan lands a hit with his new assassination skill and inflicts 40 damage, but Dian Kang retreats again and uses the incandescent pyroblast skill. The MC quickly pulls back, but another player appears and charges toward him, warning the others that the boy used a speed boost scroll. Then, the player uses Flaming Slash, but Ni Yan blocks the attack with his dagger. However, he takes damage after being hit by another skill. The player who cast it laughs and tells the MC to feel his holy light. Ni Yan is forced to retreat, and while charging toward Dian Kang reflects that the casting time of incandescent pyroblast is 5 seconds. So, he thinks there is still time. With that, he increases his speed, and before the mage can activate his skill again, the MC lands another direct hit and causes another 30 damage. But this time, because of his special strike, he stuns the mage. With that, Ni Yan takes advantage of the opening and launches several attacks. Dian Kang, seeing that he will be eliminated if he takes one more hit, becomes very frightened and immediately jumps backward, wondering if the MC has gone crazy, since he clearly intends to eliminate him. The other players run to help the boss and shout, warning that the MC's speed is extremely high, faster than any thief they have ever seen before. Besides that, they fear they will not be able to keep up with him in any way. Having said that, one of them uses charge to try something, but Ni Yan simply jumps and goes after Dian Kang once again, and, with little he can do while stunned, the mage takes the MC's vital strike. With that, the system informs him that Ni Yan eliminated a red name player and gained 1 prestige point, and the higher his prestige is, the easier it will be to obtain missions and enjoy discounts when buying items in cities. At that moment, one of Dian Kang's henchmen rushes at the MC with everything he has, shouting that he needs to pick up all the equipment left behind by the boss. However, Ni Yan is faster and takes the fire pursuer set for himself. Then, he dodges the player's linear slash and retreats. But while trying to escape, he starts taking some long-range attacks from one of the players. Ni Yan quickly activates his combat bandage skill and recovers part of his HP. Besides that, he keeps in mind that since he is very fast, the players will not be able to keep up with him. The player who is landing attacks on the MC becomes very worried and shouts, saying that at this rate, he will not be able to catch the MC, and on top of that, he is using the bandage skill while running. Ni Yan laughs when he notices that his health points have returned to the maximum, and that even his skills have come off cooldown. With that, he quickly turns around and charges toward the sword warrior, who in turn also advances against the MC, but he jumps onto the player's sword and then delivers a vital strike to the throat. However, he does not end his combo there and drives his other skill into the warrior's back, making him furious as he tries to attack the MC, who retreats backward to avoid being hit. But Ni Yan equips his small crossbow and uses triple shot, and the arrows hit the player directly, leaving him with barely any time to react. Then, he becomes very worried when he sees that his health points are extremely low. So, he runs away, thinking that if he keeps chasing the Shadow Thief, he might end up losing his own equipment as well. But the MC is faster and soon catches up to him, asking whether he really thought he could escape. With that, Ni Yan, without the slightest mercy, eliminates the sword player. As a result, the equipment is dropped, and after the MC picks everything up, he looks at the other player and says that he will be next, which leaves him very frightened, saying there is no way a priest can go head-to-head with a Shadow Thief, even more so because he is feeling an absurd presence and pressure coming from him. Na Yan says the priest seemed very happy when he was attacking him with holy light moments earlier, so he wants to know where his happiness went, and after a few seconds, the MC defeats the priest, and the player drops his equipment. Now, Ni Yan has obtained the Fire Pursuer crown, which grants 5 more points of fire damage, the Fire Pursuer bracers, which give 8 more points of defense, the Magic Ring, which gives 10 more points of fire damage, the Fire Pursuer greaves, which grant 25 more points of defense, and the Combat Boots, which give 2 more points in intelligence. The MC reflects that Fire Pursuer is a bronze rank set, so he thinks he will give it to Tang Yao since he also uses fire magic, but as for the rest of the equipment he obtained, he will sell everything. After deciding that, Ni Yan sends a message asking where his friend is, since he needs him to send the coordinates. Tang Yao sends the coordinates and says that where he is, there is a cave full of level 5 monsters, but he is hiding in a corner and does not have the courage to come out. The MC tells him to wait because he is already on his way. With that, Ni Yan sends some images of the set he took from Dian Kang to his friend. He, in turn, is completely shocked when he sees it and wants to know where the MC got it. Ni Yan says he eliminated a red name player and that the equipment he showed in the images belonged to him. Having said that, the MC says he will give the set to the blondie, who becomes completely happy after hearing this, but wants to know if his friend is not lying. Ni Yan answers that he is not and tells the blondie to calm down. He laughs and says that this is extremely satisfying and that, even if he is eliminated there, it was already worth it. Meanwhile, the MC is on top of the hill, observing something. Then, he tells Tang Yao to wait just a little longer, because he is only going to take care of a few more red-named players. Meanwhile, in the middle of the forest, a group is walking through the area until one of them is surprised to notice that Boss Dian Kang has been eliminated. The players are very surprised when they hear this, and immediately want to know how that is possible, since, with Boss Dian Kang's strength, plus the Fire Pursuer set he uses, they think he is at least in the guild's top 10, and that almost no one could defeat him. The honest guy emphasizes that the boss's magic damage is also at least in the guild's top 10, and that his skills are not weak, and that, if he is not mistaken, Dian Kang had a red name, so if he was really eliminated, all of his equipment was dropped. The warrior says that this must be exactly what happened. Another player wants to know who could have done this, since he thinks there must have been a reason for it to happen, or whether, perhaps, someone is trying to start a guild war. The warrior says it was just one opponent from the Shadow Thief class. The other players are surprised, wanting to know how that is possible, since Boss Dian Kang was with 2 other guild members. The warrior, very frightened, says that the 3 of them were defeated by a single level 3 Shadow Thief. Hearing this makes the players even more worried, wanting to know if the warrior is not mistaken, because there should be no way a simple Shadow Thief could have defeated Dian Kang and 2 others. The warrior says that unfortunately, it is true, and that the news has even been confirmed by the boss himself. The mustached player wants to know the name of this Shadow Thief. The warrior says it is Nirvana Flame, and that he is most likely a companion of that arcane mage. With that, the players continue walking through the forest, and the warrior reports that the Radiant Flame Guild has already issued a bounty order, and whoever eliminates the MC once will earn 5 silver coins. But Boss Dian Kang warned that if they find him, they will need to be very careful, since they will need at least a team of 3 people just to try to draw Nirvana Flame's attention. Meanwhile, the MC is lying in wait, observing the movements of those players, and upon hearing about the bounty they placed on his head, he thinks that at least he is worth something. and that he even wants to see how the Radiant Flame Guild plans to hunt him down. With that, Ni-Yan activates his stealth and, while following the players, thinks that they only know how to intimidate solo players by relying on the guild's power. And because of that, he will show them the fury of a solo player. At that moment, near the players from the Radiant Flame Guild, a very loud noise occurs, and they immediately want to know what is happening and whether it could be the Shadow Thief. However, from the bushes, a horned deer leader appears, a level 5 leader-type monster running toward the players. The warrior says that, apparently, the creature is the only one of its kind there, and that, either way, since they will not find the Arcane Mage or the Shadow Thief, he thinks it is better to eliminate the horned deer leader first. Meanwhile, the MC thinks he will have a perfect chance. The warrior shouts, telling the other players to act quickly, and then they will divide the equipment the creature drops. With that, the warrior increases his speed and slams his shield into the deer's head. And while the creature is busy with the warrior, the other players take advantage of the chance and attack without mercy. The horned deer cannot defend itself and takes a lot of damage. Some players who are farther away comment that, apparently, it will only take about 30 seconds to take down the horned deer leader once and for all. However, they do not notice the MC approaching from behind, who in turn takes his dagger and stabs the first player and then the other. Then, the MC spins, launching several attacks at both players. One of them, very frightened after seeing his HP extremely low, quickly grabs a healing potion, but the MC is faster, and before the player can drink the healing potion, he lands another stab and eliminates him. While being removed from the game, the player keeps trying to understand what the hell just happened. Ni-Yan does not stand still and charges toward the other player. Because of the stun strike he took, he has no idea what is happening, much less where his companions are. The MC does not care at all and lands 2 attacks. The player turns around, surprised, and casts his Sacred Retribution at the MC. Meanwhile, the warrior is holding back the horned deer's charge, but he finds something strange and shouts, wanting to know where the ranged support members are and why everything is so silent, until, when he looks back and sees that his companions have disappeared, he says they are being ambushed. The player near the warrior wants to know what they are going to do. Meanwhile, the mustached guy says they are being attacked from both sides, and that, to make things worse, the horned deer leader's aggro is still on them. The warrior shouts, telling his partners to focus their attacks and eliminate the horned deer leader first. Then, after that, they will go after the damn Shadow Thief. With that, he applies more force and pushes the creature backward. The other player takes advantage of the chance and unleashes Linear Slash. The horned deer cannot withstand it and is eliminated, and as soon as the creature collapses to the ground, the MC notices this and becomes worried, thinking that he ended up spending a little more time on the players he eliminated. Even so, he decides to go after the rest, who, because of the fight they had, have less than half of their health remaining. Ni-Yan reflects that even though their health points are low, when 3 melee fighters join forces, it is not just a matter of adding their strength together, so it is not worth throwing himself into that risk without thinking. The warrior, seeing the MC approaching, says that he eliminated 2 more guild members and that they cannot let this happen anymore. Besides that, he has already requested reinforcements, and the others are arriving. Ni-Yan laughs and says that they are 3 against 1, and even so, they do not have the courage to charge at him. But he does not care about that, because he will simply leave. The warrior emphasizes that he knows very well what the MC is trying to do, in which he wants to keep eliminating player after player. So, he knows that if they stay together, the MC will not be able to do absolutely anything. Ni-Yan thinks that they are waiting for reinforcements, and that, because of that, they are trying to buy as much time as possible. With that, he turns around and says he is leaving, and as he runs away, the players chase after him to stop him from escaping, until the warrior notices that the reinforcements have arrived. But when he looks ahead, he realizes that he has lost sight of the Shadow Thief. The MC, with his stealth active, moves from side to side while the players try to find him, but he ends up deciding to retreat and returns to the top of the mountain. Then, he thinks that no one knows the terrain there better than him, and because of that, he believes the players will not find him, and he will leave them racking their brains searching, since it is better to go see how Tong Yao is doing. He, in turn, is still hiding and running away from the monsters, but he informs the MC that he is at the coordinates he sent and that the place is full of level 5 stone spiders, and that the people from the Radiant Flame Guild would never imagine he was hiding there. He even becomes very frightened when he sees the MC appearing out of nowhere and shouts, wanting to know how he appeared so fast. Ni Yan says he only used his stealth. Then, he hands over the equipment set he took from Dian Kang. The blondie wants to know if his friend is really going to give him that equipment. The MC says the set dropped from one of the red names from the Radiant Flame Guild, and that it is perfect for him. The blondie wastes no time and equips the set and immediately realizes that his magic damage has increased to 50 points. Nia Yan says that, with that damage, the blondie should already be able to handle more difficult dungeons. With that, Nia Yan calls his friend to go face the creatures and thinks that, if he is not mistaken, there is a silver chest there in the cave. And since the blondie is using the Fire Pursuer set, the two of them will already have enough damage to handle it. Tang Yao, seeing the MC running, shouts, wanting to know what he intends to do. Nia Yan says there is a silver chest near where they are, but first they need to eliminate the stone spiders near the entrance. Then, the MC equips his small crossbow and fires, hitting 2 level 5 stone spiders. Tang Yao channels his arcane flame and launches it. The spiders are hit directly and take heavy damage. The blondie is impressed and wonders if he really managed to cause that much damage to monsters 2 levels above him. Then, he thinks that, from the looks of it, the power of the Fire Pursuer set is very impressive. At that moment, Ni Yan drives his dagger into one of the spiders and tells his friend not to stand around thinking because he needs help. Very excited, the blondie answers that he is already coming. After eliminating the spiders, Tang Yao says the MC is really good and that he never thought the two of them would be able to face monsters 2 levels above them. However, Nia Yan advances against more spiders and tells his friend to stay focused because there are still more monsters to take down. 30 minutes later, the two finally arrive where the silver chest is, and the blondie immediately wants to know how Ni Yan knew about the chest. He says he saw it while passing through there to find him. Tang Yao realizes that, unfortunately, neither of them can pick locks, so he wants to know what they are going to do. The MC tells the blondie to relax and explains that Conviction is a very well-made game and that, normally, the key to open the chest is hidden nearby. At that moment, a huge creature quickly approaches. It is the Stone Spider Leader, a level 5 leader class monster. Tang Yao becomes worried about the appearance of such a creature, so he wants to know what they are going to do because what they are about to face is a level 5 leader. Ni Yan charges forward, saying they just need to finish it off, but they need to keep a distance of at least 20 yards, stay in the narrowest part of the cave, and not run too much, or they will pull the aggro of the stone spiders around them. The blondie runs desperately to the corner of the cave, but when he sees that the stone spider leader is going after him, he turns around and activates Arcane Fireball. As soon as the attack lands directly and causes damage, the MC realizes that fire magic deals bonus damage, and because of that, he thinks they really have a chance to win. With that, Nia Yan runs along the cave wall and says he will handle crowd control, while the damage will be up to his friend. Having said that, the MC applies a stun strike to the spider and, as he jumps backward, tells the blondie to take advantage of the chance. Tang Yao lands Arcane Fireball and causes a lot of damage. While keeping his distance, Ni Yan warns his friend to be careful because the stun effect he caused is about to end. And as soon as the effect ends, the spider charges at the MC, and with no way to dodge, he is hit directly and takes a lot of damage. But as he retreats and uses the bandage skill to recover some of his health points, he says that the creature used a suicidal mutual destruction tactic to hit him. Then, he warns Tang Yao that the boss has entered Berserker mode and that they both need to retreat immediately. Besides that, they cannot stop moving and must watch out for the earth spikes. The blondie is a little confused about the spikes, but since he is moving non-stop, he accidentally dodges one of the spikes and thinks that if the MC had not warned him, he probably would have already been impaled. Ni Yan shouts, warning Tang Yao that he will have to rely on him for damage because he will try to hold back the huge spider. The blondie tells his friend to wait because he needs to recover some of his mana first. So he drinks a potion and recovers a little. Then, he channels his Arcane Fireball once again and fires it at the spider. Ni Yan takes advantage of the creature suffering from the attack and charges forward. Then, without thinking twice, he applies his Vital Strike. Tang Yao wants to know if they did it, but he ends up collapsing to the ground and says he is very tired and that he never imagined they would be able to eliminate a rock spider leader 2 levels above them. Ni Yan collects the drop left by the boss, which is a meteor fall skill book, where, when the skill is cast, it summons 5 fire meteors to attack enemies. Each meteor deals 100% base damage and continues causing 10 burn damage in a 5x5 area. The skill's cooldown is 120 seconds. The casting time is 5 seconds. The next item is a block skill book, which uses the user's weapon to parry the next physical attack. The cooldown is 30 seconds, and it is restricted to paladins, warriors, guardian knights, berserkers, and judges. And finally, a silver key with 3 uses, which can be used to open chests up to level 20 below gold grade. Na Yan calls out to his friend and says he got lucky because the boss dropped a meteor fall skill book, and this skill is absurd in the early game for area damage, while still remaining useful in the mid and even late game for farming. The blondie becomes excited when he hears this, but the MC emphasizes that the skill is still below temple magic, giant magic, or dragon speech magic. Tang Yao becomes confused when he hears his friend talking about these skills and immediately asks him to be clearer. The MC answers that it is nothing and that his friend will understand later on. With that, they both run toward where the silver chest is. As soon as they arrive, Ni Yan wastes no time and immediately opens the chest. And upon opening it, the system informs him that he consumed one of the silver key's charges. However, it was for a good cause, since the item inside the silver chest is a silk weaver ring, something perfect for walking on walls, climbing trees, and even jumping from cliffs. That is because when the item is used, it can shoot out a strong silk thread that sticks to objects and can reach a maximum length of up to 5 yards. The blondie looks at the ring and says, "It seems kind of mediocre." So he wants to know why the MC seems so excited. He says that what is in his hand is a treasure for the Shadow Thief class. Having said that, he wants to know if Tang Yao has already learned the meteor fall skill. He answers yes, but wants to know why he is asking. Ni Yan looks ahead and, seeing several stone spiders approaching, says it is because the blondie will need to use it. Then, the MC runs off, saying he will pull the monster's aggro and that the blondie should start casting the new skill. With that, Ni Yan moves from side to side, drawing the spider's attention so they do not go after his friend, who in turn becomes a little worried while channeling the skill when he sees that there are so many creatures, until he finally finishes preparing Meteor Fall and launches it at the creatures, causing a huge explosion from the powerful impact. Ni Yan takes advantage of the remaining scattered spiders and attacks several at once. As soon as the dust settles, the blondie is very surprised by what he just did and wonders if he really did all of that. The MC goes over to him, wanting to know why he is standing still, because they need to go deeper into the cave. The blondie laughs and says that his mana has run out, and his recovery potions are already gone too. Ni Yan says he forgot that, at his friend's level, using Meteor Fall drains all of his mana, but he thinks that, if he is not mistaken, the most important item in the game is hidden deep inside the stone spider cave. Tang Yao says he will return to the city. Otherwise, he thinks he will only get in the way by staying there. The MC agrees, but says that before he does that, he will teach him some arcane mage techniques. After a long conversation, the two of them leave the cave. The blondie takes out a return to city scroll and tells the MC that if it were not for the items he obtained, he thinks things could have gone very wrong. But in the end, he managed to escape from the red-named guys and even learned an insanely awesome skill. Ni Yan says that is what brothers are for, and as soon as Tang Yao uses the teleport scroll, the MC returns to the cave, and while walking through it, he thinks he remembers that at the end of the stone spider cave, there is a page of the Codex of Order, something every player dreams of obtaining. It is said that the Codex of Order and the Codex of Chaos are artifacts left behind by the god of myths, Austin. They have been circulating around the world for about 500 or 600 years, and no one knows where they came from or who created them. Ni Yan knows that order and chaos represent the laws of the continent he is on, and that each codex has 6 volumes and 36 chapters, spreading 2 completely opposing forces throughout the world. According to legend, whoever gathers all the chapters of order can rebuild divine order, gain immense power, become the ruler of the temples of light, and become the great pope. Meanwhile, whoever gathers the chapters of chaos gains the power to control calamities and become a true destroyer of order, becoming the lord of the dark plane. So, both the Codex of Order and the Codex of Chaos are legendary items. After reflecting on this, the MC realizes that the game has just opened, and the Viridian Empire and the Satrine Empire are still in the first expansion pack, Traces of the Saints. The first volume of the Codex of Order includes the chapters of justice, kindness, courage, wisdom, equity, and freedom. The power of the Codex of Order is absurd, and almost every player who obtains a chapter enters the top ranks of the best players. Then, he remembers that in his past life, 3 Super Guild leaders rose precisely because of these chapters. They had legendary achievements, faced 100 enemies alone, and became true myths. With that, he concludes that at the moment, in the entire game, he thinks he is the only one who knows where these chapters are hidden. And because of that, he thinks that maybe this time, he can also create his own myth, since he remembers that, in his past life, the one who carried the chapter of justice was the leader of the Angel Hegemony Guild, the elven demon hunter, Winged Angel. He broke through a siege of hundreds of people on an open battlefield, took down 16 undead paladins, and even held off an elite team of 100 players all by himself. However, the bearer of the Chapter of Wisdom, the leader of the Dominators Guild, the level 3 mage, Shi Huang Eliminator, when the undead mage invaded the territory, cast the forbidden spell 1,000-Mile Ice Seal and froze an entire swarm of monsters for 3 days and 3 nights, saving a city and becoming a legend among the players. Finally, there was the bearer of the Chapter of Courage, the leader of the Sacred Roman Empire Guild, the Mad Swordsman, Sleepy Fox. In the Great Guild War, he advanced alone against the formation of the Azure Shadow Guild, cutting down one enemy every 10 steps, massacring hundreds and forcing a path open. So, he concludes that this is where the Chapter of Courage is buried. And just thinking about it, the MC feels his blood beginning to boil. Then he becomes intrigued when he hears the sound of water. But when he sees several stone spider leaders blocking the path ahead of him, he activates stealth. Then, he activates the water-repelling pearl and jumps into the stream. As he swims, he reflects that he remembers there is a treasure chest hidden somewhere nearby, since, in his past life, it was only discovered in the middle of the game, causing a huge uproar on the forums. Then, when he reaches the bottom of the stream, he wonders if what he is seeing could be a golden chest, and as soon as he gets closer, he notices that the symbol he is seeing on the chest was the symbol of the pirates of the Zia Sea during the Regency era. So, he reflects that he never imagined this was actually the golden chest from that era, because it is even rarer than an ordinary golden chest. Ni Yan wastes no time and quickly opens the chest, and inside it was the assassin's precept dagger. The MC takes the weapon and, as he observes it more closely, thinks that he has never seen this dagger before, but judging by its design and aura, he believes it must be at least a gold grade item. So, he concludes that even if he does not find the Chapter of Courage, this dagger alone has already made the trip worth it. After that, Ni Yan notices a light passing through a crack and decides to swim toward it. Through that crack, he emerges from the water, and as soon as he steps onto solid ground, he observes the place and thinks that he never imagined such an incredible place existed in the depths of the stone spider cave. And, after walking a little, he notices something on top of an altar. Ni Yan approaches and reads the writings around it, which say that the edges of the chest are covered with flowing patterns that resemble running water and marks from ancient times. And the moment Ni Yan touches it, a divine power invades his body. Curiosity takes over. As soon as someone's hand touches it, mysterious and finely carved characters begin to emerge. And by touching the dictionary written in the 3 languages of the Komu giant people, Jid grammar, and the language of dragons, all of this content, along with strange historical records, is engraved directly into the person's mind. As a result, the MC receives several system notifications informing him that he has learned the Komu giant language, the language of dragons, ancient common, and obtained the Chronicle recovery system. Ni Yan takes the book in his hand and once again receives a system alert informing him that the Chapter of Courage from Volume 1, Chapter 3 of the Codex of Order is a possessed item fragment, where whoever carries the Chapter of Courage receives divine protection when embracing life and also releases divine light. It also says that the bearers of this item gain 2 extra attribute points and 1 skill point every 5 levels. The Super Perception skill allows the user to sense the target's data and is used only to evaluate equipment. As for the Descent of God skill, when health points fall below 10%, the user enters a state of invulnerability. Maximum health points increase by 500 points as a high-level life shield that absorbs 60% of damage. The effect lasts for 15 minutes. The cooldown time is 10 natural days. and if the cooldown is not completed within 10 days and the user is eliminated, the item will be degraded. But to obtain this item, pages 1 and 2 are required. Yan is very surprised and thinks it is an absurd effect, and that it is no wonder Sleepy Fox, in his past life, managed to take down more than 200 players by himself. So, he concludes that what he has there is truly a legendary item. But he knows he will have to be careful when farming or entering one-on-one fights from now on, because if he is eliminated, the Chapter of Courage will drop, and unless he manages to gather the first 6 chapters of the Codex of Order and synthesize Volume 1, there will be no way to avoid that. Even so, the MC knows that such a legendary item should have an absurdly powerful guardian protecting it. So, he wants to know why no one has appeared yet and how he managed to get it so easily. However, out of nowhere, the ground begins to completely break apart. Yan looks around and thinks that, apparently, by taking the Codex of Order, he activated the Guardian. So, he immediately starts running so he will not risk being eliminated. Then, he activates the Silkweaver ring and shoots a web at the top of the mountain, leaping up toward it, almost like Spider-Man. After that, he looks back and a huge explosion happens in the place where he had been. After the dust settles, a massive creature appears, and the MC wonders if what he is seeing is really the Guardian of the Chapter of Order. Yan activates the Super Perception skill and discovers that the creature that just appeared is, in fact, the Guardian of Order. But the creature is level 100 and has 200,000 health points. The Guardian begins launching several fireballs, and while the MC tries to dodge them all, he reflects that, at his current level, he will be eliminated instantly if he is hit. And because of that, he knows he needs to return to the city as soon as possible. Meanwhile, in Link Village, the players are frightened, wanting to know what is happening, since everything is trembling and shaking. Then, a huge creature appears, and the system announces that a dragon has appeared south of the village, and uninvolved players must evacuate immediately. This leaves everyone confused, wondering why the hell a dragon-type creature would suddenly appear out of nowhere. At that moment, several Holy Crusaders arrive at the location. The players are surprised to see several NPCs gathering. Meanwhile, the MC is trying to escape at full speed, but he becomes worried when he realizes that the Guardian has discovered his location. So, he activates a scroll, increases his speed by another 20%, and changes his trajectory. But the Guardian launches several attacks, forcing the MC to dodge so he will not be hit. Yan takes a little damage from the spreading flames, but he thinks he is almost at the city, and because of that, he only needs to hold on a little longer. Then, he shoots a silk web at a tree, and as he pulls himself forward, gains momentum and starts running again. However, the Guardian is paying close attention to every step the MC takes and soon prepares another attack. Then the creature is hit by an attack, which makes the Guardian of Order very angry. The huge creature had been struck by Warlord Nisad. One of the Holy Crusaders calls out to the Warlord and informs him that the defensive line is ready, awaiting his orders. At that moment, the Guardian of Order puts the MC aside and charges straight toward Link Village, and as soon as it arrives, it prepares its Burning Meteor skill. With that, the system warns the players that the village is being invaded by a dragon-type creature, causing everyone to start running desperately. Nisad tells them to activate the basic defense, and a magic barrier completely surrounds Link Village. The meteors begin crashing against the barrier, and the players feel relieved when they see that they will not be eliminated. Then, the Holy Crusaders prepare their bows and launch an attack of countless arrows all at once. The Guardian notices several attacks coming from many different directions, and, with not much it can do, is hit directly. However, the creature goes berserk and roars loudly. After that, it flies with all its strength and crashes into the barrier. The impact is so strong that it was able to break the magic barrier, and the Guardian managed to enter the city. Meanwhile, the MC, watching all of this happen, thinks that although the appearance of the Guardian of Order has thrown most players into panic, there are also some clever ones hiding, waiting for the NPCs to finish the fight so they can steal the loot. Then he recognizes a guy and remembers that he is Star Glory, the leader of the Glory Time Guild, and that, in his past life, he did some business with him, so he knows he is a decent guy. After that, he recognizes Immediate Sword, the leader of the Dark Massacre Guild, a complete troublemaker, and, finally, Sleepy Fox, the bearer of the Chapter of Courage in his past life. But it is a shame, because he is the one responsible for taking it before him. A few minutes later, the player Star Glory calls out to Immediate Sword and informs him that With glory time there, those from Dark Massacre should know their place. So, he suggests that Immediate Sword stop acting so full of himself just because he reached level 5 before him, and also led his group in clearing the Treant Forest and the Dark Forest first. The player Immediate Sword wants to know what is so great about that, since Star Glory's evaluation was only 68%. Besides, his guild's glory is only 200 points higher than his own, and it will not take long for him to catch up to them. At that moment, from very far away, the MC notices an attack flying straight toward the Guardian, which is hit and thrown away with great force. Then, without giving the creature time to recover, the Holy Crusaders charge at the Guardian with everything they have. Nisad prepares another one of his arrows and says that, in the name of the Warlord, he decrees judgment upon the evil dragon bloodline. With that said, he fires his immensely powerful shot. The attack lands directly on the Guardian, dealing an incredible 88,000 damage. And as soon as the creature's health points reach 0, several players begin shouting, telling everyone to act quickly and grab the loot the Guardian is going to drop. The players Star Glory, Immediate Sword, and Sleepy Fox do not stay still and run after the drop. Niyan also does not stay still, activates his stealth, and runs toward the drop. One of the players gets excited because he arrived before everyone else, but before he can grab the drop, he is hit by several attacks. Sleepy Fox shouts, telling his companions to act quickly, and takes the lead. And when he sees that he is going to be able to grab the drop, he gets very excited, but ends up being completely trapped by an immobilizing spell. With that, several high-ranking players are equally close to grabbing the drop left by the Guardian of Order. However, Immediate Sword manages to gain a certain advantage over the others, and gets very close to taking it. Ni Yan fires several shots with his crossbow and thinks that, apparently, it seems he will not be able to get any equipment at the moment. The player Immediate Sword dodges the arrows at the last second and becomes very frightened. Because of that, the player Star Glory manages to grab the drop. After that, he looks at the MC and thanks him, while the MC thinks that, unfortunately, he had very bad luck, since he did not manage to get anything. However, extremely irritated, the player Immediate Sword calls out to the MC and asks if he really thinks he can simply walk away after what he just did. And, as he releases his power, a strong tremor occurs. Ni Yan becomes serious and asks whether Immediate Sword is actually going to try to stop him from leaving. Then the player Star Glory walks over to the MC and makes it clear to Immediate Sword that the guy beside him is his friend. Then he says that if he wants to cause trouble for the MC, he will first have to see whether the Glory Temple Guild will allow it. After that, he emphasizes that they from Glory Temple are not afraid of the Dark Massacre Guild in the slightest. Immediate Sword says that it is fine, but warns that none of them will leave that place. Meanwhile, the player Sleepy Fox laughs and comments that apparently there is nothing left to do there. Then one of his guild members calls out to him and says that the player in front of them is the expert shadow thief called Nirvana Flame, whom he had mentioned before, and that he was the one who gave him the guide to the fallen shaman camp. The guild leader is surprised to hear that, and looking at the MC, he comments that it is easy to tell by the way he stole the loot, since his skill is truly absurd. The player Flying Stone wants to know what they are going to do. Sleepy Fox shouts, calling out to Nirvana Flame, and then says that the Sacred Roman Empire Guild is going to invade Ogmart's muddy swamp in a few days. So, he wants to know if he is interested in going with them. This leaves the other guild leaders very surprised by the request. Meanwhile, the MC recognizes the player Flying Stone and concludes that in the end, he was from the Sacred Roman Empire Guild. So, Ni Yan answers Sleepy Fox that there will be no problem at all, but that he has only one condition, which is that he wants priority over any thief equipment and any dungeon item he can use. All the players around them cannot believe what they have just heard, and they immediately want to know whether the MC has any idea what situation he is in and what he is asking for. Then one of the members of the Sacred Roman Empire Guild walks over to his boss and says that the kid is going too far because they just got him out of a complicated situation, and even so, he is still demanding conditions. Sleepy Fox agrees with his partner and says that the MC really is quite arrogant and that before, he still had doubts about whether he was really an expert, but now he is completely certain. Because to say something as absurd as what he just said, he probably must have more than enough skill. With that said, he replies to Nirvana Flame that there will be no problem, and that, if he is truly willing to go with them, then all Shadow Thief equipment will be his priority. This makes the players around them even more surprised, wanting to know who exactly the MC is and how he managed to make the player Sleepy Fox accept a condition like that. One of the members of the Dark Massacre Guild walks over to the boss and comments that their situation has become a bit complicated because they will not be able to handle facing two guilds at the same time. However, the player Sleepy Fox calls out to Immediate Sword and asks him to end the matter. Immediate Sword, in turn, comments that since Leader Fox suggested it, he will listen to him and let things go. With that said, he turns around and calls the people from his guild to leave. So, Star Glory comments to the MC that he had no idea he knew the leader of the Sacred Roman Empire Guild, but that, either way, he is grateful for the MC's help. Otherwise, he would never have managed to get the equipment dropped by the Guardian of Order. Nie Yan replies that he does not, and that the leader of Glory Temple is overthinking it. At that moment, Sleepy Fox approaches and tells Star Glory that he managed to get a nice reward. However, he emphasizes that the equipment he got is practically useless. The drop in question is the Courage Plate armor, a gold-quality piece of equipment. It grants 605 extra points in defense, 15 extra points in counterattack, and 15 extra points in thorns. But the class is for Warrior, Bronze Knight, and Paladin, and it requires level 100. Sleepy Fox, upon seeing the equipment's details, comments that even though it is a rare gold-grade item, it still requires level 100 to use. So, he does not know how long it will take for someone to use it. Star Glory agrees and points out that everyone's level is still far too low, and that even if they put it in the shop, no one would have the money to buy it. Because of that, he thinks the equipment will probably end up staying in the guild as a treasure. After that, the player Flying Stone walks over to the MC and comments that they have met again, and that he will finally be able to run a dungeon with him next time. Nie Yan replies yes, and thanks the player for his help earlier. Then Sleepy Fox calls out to Nirvana Flame and asks them to add each other, because when they go to run the dungeon, he will let him know. Star Glory asks for the same thing as well. With that, the MC adds each of the leaders as friends, and thinks that he never imagined he would end up becoming friends with them in this life. So, he says goodbye to everyone and tells them that he will be waiting for their contact. After that, Nie Yan goes to a more secluded place in Link City, and he activates his super perception skill and identification on the weapon he obtained from the chest earlier. He soon discovers that the dagger is the Assassin's Blade, an offhand weapon of gold quality. It grants 28 extra points in attack, 16 extra points in strength, and has a critical hit rate of 12 extra points. And the combo effects stack against players. Nie Yan gets excited when he finds out it is an offhand weapon, because it is just as expected from gold-grade equipment, especially because already at level 5, it surpasses 30 attack points, and as soon as he reaches level 5 and learns dual wielding, he will be able to use it. Then his damage will increase absurdly with a piece of equipment like this. After that, later, in Telic Village, the MC returns through teleportation and thinks he still has half an hour of game time. So, he thinks it is better to make use of it to finish Dr. Blevins' mission. Therefore, he wastes no time and teleports to the area near the Murloc tribe. And as he approaches the place, he realizes that the Victorious Return Guild acted quickly and destroyed the Murloc tribe. And when he looks to the side and sees some solo players, he thinks they most likely have leftover fine silk. And since he does not have much time, he thinks buying it directly from them will be much faster. After buying what he needs, Nie Yan goes to Heart Island, and then to Mr. Blevins, who, as soon as he notices the MC approaching, wants to know how the task he gave him went. He says that he found everything, and that he is there with the 90 pieces of fine silk the old man asked for. So, he hopes it will be of great help. Blevins gets excited when he finds out that he finally obtained enough fine silk, because the next morning, he can already return to Hilton Fortress. With that said, the old man emphasizes that the warriors of the fortress will always remember what the MC did for them, and may the holy light bless him for being a kind and generous adventurer, and that the darkness will be extinguished one day, and the light will cover the entire land. With that, the MC gains 11 more reputation points with Hilton Fortress. After that, Blevins informs him that the items he will give represent his sincere gratitude, and that he wishes the MC's journey to be smooth and peaceful. Nie Yan receives 16,523 experience points and the gold-grade rapid spin boots. When equipped, They grant 20 extra points in defense and increase movement speed by 12 points. However, a system message appears informing him that the game will shut down in 1 minute, so the players need to prepare to log out. Before leaving the game, Yan opens his status window and sees that his experience has reached 98%. So he knows it is a shame because the game time is over for that day, and he will have to level up the next day. Therefore, he closes the status window and then logs out of the game. But after returning, he knows he cannot just stay in the game because he also needs to become stronger in the real world. And while he starts abdominal training, he reflects that, in this life, he cannot afford to be lazy for even a single second. Yan changes the type of training and soon after starts another one and thinks that maybe he should look for a martial arts gym and test his current strength on some equipment. Therefore, he decides to go to a martial arts gym owned by the Lin family. And when he gets close to the receptionist, he asks for a card to train for 2 hours. Lin Jia, an old classmate of the MC, wants to know if he is there just to meet her, because he should not go around thinking that just because he once wrote a love letter, she has to be interested in him. Then, she emphasizes that she already made that very clear before, and because of that, she wants him to stop bothering her. Yan takes the card, turns around, and walks away without saying anything. Lin Jia thinks that the MC's family owes around 500 or 600,000 yuan. On top of that, a bunch of relatives show up every day demanding payment, and his parents are always hiding. Yet even so, he still goes there to train as if nothing is happening. Then, a guy named Bao Wei appears, wanting to know who the guy Lin Jia was talking to is. She says he is just a classmate and a complete useless person, because the only thing he is good at is studying. Meanwhile, the MC is using the grip strength testing machine, and as soon as he pulls with all his strength, it shows that he pulled 162 kilos. Yan reflects that, compared to his past life, what he just did is still not much, but with his current body, he thinks it is already acceptable. After that, he decides to go to a machine to test his weightlifting strength, and as soon as he starts, the weight he manages to handle is 155 kilos. This leaves Bao Wei surprised, and Lin Jia wants to know what he is looking at. Then, she says that the MC is nothing special and that he is just some skinny guy, until the MC goes to another machine to test the strength of his punch. And as soon as he throws a blow, it makes a loud noise. Then, because of the impact, the machine falls to the side and draws the attention of everyone around. Bao Wei cannot believe the punch he just saw, and neither can Lin Jia. After Yan finishes his training, he returns to the reception desk and hands over the card. Lin Jia tells the MC that the 2 hours he trained will be on her. On top of that, he will receive 26,000 yuan for breaking the gym's record. Yan takes the reward, thanks her, and thinks that he never imagined breaking records would give cash prizes. After that, Lin Jia says she will be free that night, so she wants to know if he would like to go out with her at night. The MC apologizes and replies that he is not interested. With that said, he leaves and leaves her talking to herself. This makes her furious, and she starts shouting, wanting to know who he thinks he is. After that, Yan goes to the mall and thinks that now that he has obtained this cash prize, at least he will not need to worry about the nutritional fluid for that month. And, after buying it, he just has to return home and continue farming levels. Therefore, after returning home, the MC picks up the game helmet and then logs in. Once inside the game, he reflects that he has already obtained the Smooth Fall Jewel, and that now he first needs to reach level 4 and then face the famous elite monster, King Lion Kato. A few minutes later, Yan is facing several water spiders, eliminating them one after another, until he finally evolves and reaches level 4. Then, he reflects that he is only 1 level away from equipping his new weapon. With that, he thinks that if he defeats King Lion Kato below the recommended level, he will probably go straight up to level 5. However, he knows that before facing such a creature, he needs to prepare. So, he takes a return scroll to the city and goes straight to Kalori City. Then, he walks to the auction house, and as soon as he enters, he reflects that, if he is not mistaken, the Thos Valley dungeon will open soon. Many large guilds will probably rush there to carry out the first exploration, and since the claws of the werewolves from Thos Valley carry an absurd toxin, the price of the black phenol potion, which can cure that toxin, will increase 5-fold overnight. Therefore, he asks the vendor to give him 9 quivers of poisoned arrows, and also all the black phenol potions the vendor has. This leaves him very surprised, wanting to know if the MC is really sure he wants to buy all of them. He replies that yes, he does want to buy everything, and after buying what he wanted, he thinks it seems like this entire fortune from the black phenol potions is going to end up falling right into his lap. With that, the MC goes to the teleportation point and decides to go to Mordo Village. As soon as he teleports, he immediately runs off and arrives at the misty hills around the village. From afar, he can see the level 7 elite monster, King Lion Kato, and thinks that, compared to the buffalo boss, this creature is on another level. And when he looks down and sees a tree, he concludes that this is exactly the place he had in mind. Therefore, while jumping down, he activates the Smooth Fall Jewel, which reduces the user's weight, making the fall as light as a feather. Yan reflects that, with the Smooth Fall Jewel, the thread of the Silk Weaver ring will not snap because of his own weight. Then, he activates the ring, and, as he attaches the silk thread to the tree, he reflects that this will allow him to reach a bugged area that no player has ever managed to reach.